Hey, Corey.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
Just debating what to change the channel status to because Ben's not here to do it.
Oh, is he the one that changes it every time?
Yeah, you'll probably know what Ben would put. What would Ben put for Elemental?
Let me think. Get into Ben brain.
I said hella mental, but you didn't really give me much reaction. Rude. Mm.
You could split it. You could split it into Ella and then space mental. You know, because it's mental. I don't know.
Like what?
Better?
Like ELA or do it as in like a name ELLA?
Just like it's just ELA. Just like splitting the word into two words. But I know Ella isn't a word, but
Or mental in capitals?
yeah, that works.
Yeah. Change.
Yeah, I like that.
Hopefully Ben will approve.
We'll see.
What's he up to this afternoon, do you know? Even what's he doing?
He's watching. I'm pretty sure he's watching something with his parents.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Cute. That's cool. Hi.
Hey,
How's it going?
not bad.
Look very snug, I must say so.
Just got out the shower and washed my hair and stuff, so
Oh, that's what I didn't do today, and I needed.
cozy. Proper Sunday night behavior.
I need to get a better routine. I need to get my life together.
Yeah.
I knew this
Same.
I am guilty of like stretching out. Like I try not to wash my hair too much because it gets like dried out and unhealthy and stuff. But like yesterday, I was supposed to wash my hair, but I ended up running out of time and just using like two different, like a dry shampoo and like a foam shampoo. Just like I had to do two different things
What's a
because
foam shampoo? How did that work? What do you do for that? Does that mean you have to wash it out or no?
no, you put it in and then you towel it off, and it actually does an incredibly good job. It has witch hazel
Cool.
oil, so yeah.
I've not heard of that.
I'm really bad for not washing my hair frequently. And
Does hair take a long time to it?
it can do. It just gets so tangled so easily. So it's just sometimes I'll just be in the shower like dragging at it for ages, and I just can't. I can't be the fab. But also because I always deep condition. So I'll get in the shower, I'll shampoo condition, then I'll deep condition, which means getting out of the shower and doing something else. Then I have to get back in the shower for like another 40 minutes to detangle. And it's just, if I do it like once every 3 weeks, I'm proud of myself because I'm just
Good.
not a fan. But it doesn't need washing as frequently. It's just when it gets really tangled.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as it probably could be.
I do mine in stages. I can wash and blow dry it probably in an hour. I invested in the Dyson, what's it called, like Super Sonic or something. But it's got an Afro pick on it, so that
does
and the
it?
Dyson,
Is it good?
yeah, the best investment. Like it's expensive, but it's the best investment because it cut my hair down. Because when I do it with like you know the brand Wahl, WAHL.
Yes, that's the one I've got.
Yeah, but oh my goodness,
The Wild Power Pick.
I would be chasing the power pick around the room because it would like fly off the hairdryer because my hair would be too thick. And so I was like, if I get this one, it has a magnetic, like I don't know, like suction, so it's kept on by a magnet, and so I can now do my blow dry my hair in about 25 minutes, the whole head, a decent like level of like straightness, I guess. And then my cousin said, not to blow dry and straighten your hair on the same day. So I'll always blow dry my hair the night before and then get up early and straighten it in the morning, because apparently like
Okay.
too much heat means that the
Yeah.
straightening isn't effective. So if you do it the next day, the hair's had a chance to like reprieve from the hairdryer
Yeah.
heat, and it's more likely to stay straighter for longer between washes because you saved it to the next day. That's what, yeah.
Okay. I can never be bothered to straighten my hair because the blow dried step is, I can't be bothered with
Stressful.
that. I thought it was just me. I was like, literally every couple of seconds you have to stop and reattach it. And I'm just like, what is
Or it gets
doing?
overheated and cuts out, and then it's like,
Yeah,
oh, long.
it's
Yeah.
such bad hair. But it's like the most prevalent hairdryer with an Afro pick attachment. So
Yeah.
it's just like, I guess I have to get it, but it's
then it broke.
the GHD that had an Afro pick
Oh,
attachment,
did it?
and then
Interesting.
it got stuck in like a tangle, and I think I like dragged on it too tight and ended up dropping the hairdryer, and it broke and never worked ever again. So that was that. So yeah, now I just let it air dry. I'm not going anywhere. I don't need my hair
Did
to
you
look
find
good.
that gets more tangly?
Sorry?
Not find letting it air dry means it gets more knotty.
I plait it first. So it's in like two, you can kind of see like two braids there.
Nice.
It's a
I
bit
can't braid very well. I can just about plait, let alone braid.
fair.
Yeah.
It's a skill. I tend to do twists more because it's just easier and I don't need a mirror. But
Yeah. Yeah. Long time. No. Such effort.
I've heard
That
good
week
things
way.
about the Dyson too. I've heard it's really expensive as well. So
yeah,
sounds
Yeah,
like
not the air wrap. The air wrap is like, I mean, to be fair, the air wrap's like £400 something. This I paid, I think, it's about like 300 or 350, but I did pay
Yeah.
it off in installments, so it was like, for me, I was like, it's just £50 a month, it'll be fine. I would have been able to afford that in one go, but for the time that it saves me, like, probably one of the best investments I've ever made, just in terms of the time to reduce it from an hour to 20 minutes. I'm like,
that's gold.
that's worth it. That's so much time back.
that's brilliant.
Mm.
Is it only the hairdryer or does it have different head attachment things to it? Like the other
You get the
one?
hairdryer, and then there's a Afro pick. There's a curl diffuser. There is which actually is really effective. But basically, you know, like when you straighten your hair and you have maybe like, I don't know how to explain it. Like a bit like if you rubbed your balloon, your hair with a heat, like a balloon, and then it like gets like static at the top. It has an attachment that's like this, and it's like smooth here, and then like air comes like through, and then if you like put it on the top of your head, it like smooths down all the like, the best thing ever.
Oh,
Yes, that's one of them. Then it's got a very small one that's got like a little shoot like this that you could use for like maybe like you're brushing your hair at the same time with like two hands.
Yeah.
I think that's it. So I think game of 4. The Afro pick I think was a later edition. It doesn't come with all the different versions of it, but I think I got a version where
Yeah.
they also decided to be inclusive and put an Afro pick in. And I was like, yeah, I've seen quite good reviews of it, so I thought I'd give it a go. And yeah, I really, really recommend it.
It sounds like it.
Technology is, like, so innovative. Like I've
really
seen
is.
the one where it smooths the top the hairs down,
Yeah.
so it doesn't like yeah, I've seen that.
So that must make straightening faster as well then, because it really gets your roots.
Yeah, the Afro pick makes my hair pretty like smooth and straight just from blow drying, really.
Nice.
It just would be
Nice.
knottier throughout the week, I think, if I didn't then straighten it, I think. So
Yeah.
but no, it's really good. And even when I went through about maybe a year or maybe like a year of wearing my hair curly, maybe, and I found the diffuser for my like natural hair, like being curly, was also really good and really quick as well.
Nice.
So I would recommend. But then that
Cool.
became too knotty as well, so I ended up just going back straightening it. 'Cause
Yeah,
actually
I
easier.
can't be bothered to wear my hair out. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know other people do it, but I'm not I'm not the one.
I found
I can't
myself
do it.
having to wash it more often because it didn't look like after 2 days it looked like shit. So I was just like,
Yeah.
okay,
And it's just a tangled mess. It's
Yeah.
just like,
it looked nice, and then like by day 3 I looked a bit like Sideshow Bob, and it just didn't like quite look appropriate anymore. So I just give it up and move on.
It's a full-time job.
it is a full-time.
Honestly, you men, you have it so easy. so
Really do.
easy. Yeah, you really, really do.
Although he does have to shave every few days and then gets rashes whenever he shaves. So
I know.
Oh,
great.
bummer.
I have like really sensitive skin, so growing up, I really cared about my hair. I pretty much every day I was doing stuff with it. But it was even hard for me, like my head, if I got cane row,
Yep.
my head might like I would say almost bleed. Like I have a really sensitive scalp.
Right.
I'd be in so much pain. Like I know it was common, but like my auntie, my mom, they wouldn't do it. They would do it very, very light. Like it wouldn't last long. But
Right, because
I
it
would
wasn't
be in
light enough
such
because you were
pain.
too sensitive with your scalp. Yeah.
Yeah, and my mom's the same, to be honest. She's like, yeah, you got that from me. I was just like,
But on the bright side, you didn't grow up with your hair being done and people just being so rough with it
yeah,
and hitting the head with the comb because you're moving around too much.
yeah,
Which was every time I got my hair growing up.
yeah. There
Yeah.
was one time I walked away from a barber bleeding,
Oh my god.
and with our wedding, the one in Leeds, the day after, because I think I got it the day before or the day of, can't remember, but I think it's the day before. No, not then. The day before on the ceremony, I got it done in Leeds
Oh, did you?
by the barber. Yes, that's why I was talking. I asked your dad about it.
Oh yeah. My dad, who's been bald for 30 years, by the way.
The,
He does not know any barbers.
well, he did.
But he knows someone who knows someone.
But a lot of the people he talked to would recommend that barber. Anyway, point is, I had scabs from just them shaping me up. So quite often I couldn't go to a barber unless they were a very specific one. There was only like 2 ever I could really go to. Like obviously you go to your hairdresser you trust. And it was a similar thing. But it was mainly because no one would treat my head right, not just be injured or something. I say injured,
Yeah.
in pain or have scabs or something.
That is injury. Ah.
But yeah, so I did when I started losing my hair, I did really most people obviously really hate it. But I really hated it, but obviously it's what it is. And I guess I tried to I took advantage I say took advantage. I did the best that I could within the time I had with my hair. I tried to do
We had fun with it.
yeah, I had fun with it.
Yeah, I saw a picture of you with was it twists or like little twists kind of.
Yeah, in
Hey.
Japan, yeah. I had crazy twists. That was the last time I had crazy twists. That
Oh, I would
that
like
was
to
nice.
see that. That sounds awesome. But
Yeah.
for like shaving, like I know, have you ever, this could be tricky too, because like some formulations are hard on your skin as well. But like, would you ever consider like hair removal, like creams, like depilatory creams?
Oh no, not on my
Sensitive
head.
skin?
That would be mad. Um, that
Too sensitive.
yeah, I mean I could try. It could who knows what would happen. I've done that once under my arms. That was interesting. That was an accident.
Was that in Sri Lanka?
No, that was on purpose. We tried a little bit of my leg, and that worked well. But the smell, of course.
The
She,
smell.
I don't blame her.
I was outside. I was like, what is that smell?
That was like on different parts of my body. But with my head, obviously I could always try it one day. I don't know if I will be brave enough to, but I usually have to do a lot of steps before, during, and afterwards to make sure my head isn't breaking out.
Mhm.
And I have to like use 2 different shavers, electrical and a physical one. I have to use like oat stuff. So it's
Yeah,
just
It's a whole
Whoa.
thing.
it takes me
Yeah.
forever to shave. I
okay, I
always
take it
put
back.
it
You
off.
don't have it easy. Sorry.
But I also don't envy you guys because you still have it worse. Or at least Camilla, I see how I know how long it takes her, how much effort. So I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Or even when
Anyway,
you go to a hairdresser to try and get a professional to do it, you're waiting an hour and a half for them to actually start your hair. And then they're doing 4 other people's hair at the same time. Hard. Not,
Yeah.
great. Great at all. Well,
Yeah.
that was one ordeal.
Yeah.
What it
Are we
causes like
everyone? Simon joining.
again.
I said, are we everyone or is Simon joining?
Simon's
Simon's
joining later.
joining, Ben is joining at
Okay.
10.
Okay.
Patrick I'm sure. You wanna know about Pat?
Oh, I thought Pat was gonna be here for 9.
Yeah, he made this whole big thing about it being better for him, and now he's not even. I think he said
Maybe he's traveling on the way home.
where?
But while Alex here,
Yeah, hey, yeah,
great Rachel,
no. Yeah.
why did you pick this great film?
Oh, hold on a second. I've realised I spelled elemental wrong, so I just need to change that before I actually get started. So,
It's
Corey, I
okay.
did say ELA, and you did not correct me. So I'm just putting it out. Right, hold on. Why did I pick this film? I made some notes for my opening statement actually, so I can remember. Let me find it. Yeah, why did I pick this film? Yes, I saw this film. Rob went to see this film with his mum in the cinema because you got invited to a press conference, not press conference. So not a press conference, a press screening of it. And then I remember you saying you thought I would really like it, so I went to see it in Streatham of all places. And I really liked it. I think the first thing that I think really stood out to me is the world. I think that just created like the world of Elemental for me. I think is just one of the most kind of like visually like, or at the time is one of the most kind of like visually striking things that I'd seen in a long time in a film. I think the world that's created of the communities and like the very like down to like the little details I think really kind of stood out to me, and I just thought, wow, like what a lot of kind of thought that had gone into kind of creating this kind of world, these communities, these people, and so on. So I think that really kind of stood out to me. And then I think in a way of it being, I guess, Pixar kind of being kids films, but also kind of having the kind of adult, I guess, kind of like themes or kind of topics to kind of touch upon. I think I found it interesting, I guess, the way they explored things like, I guess, kind of immigration, racism, xenophobia, and kind of the right from the very kind of like beginning in a way, right? It wasn't kind of necessarily kind of subtle at all. It was quite kind of clear the kind of discrimination or kind of prejudice that the Fire people were facing. So I think in terms of like the themes that kind of were discussed and the way it kind of attempted to carry those through the story, I think kind of also also really interested me kind of as well. It was one of the factors that I enjoyed. Then I think alongside that, the kind of like the part of the production that I really liked is also the kind of like the fusion music and just kind of the world that was created for the Fire people actually kind of kept it quite like I say ambiguous, but then also relatable in the sense that it really could be. There are so many people that the Fire people could have been, or so many different communities that actually the Fire people could have been. So I really enjoyed the kind of the kind of music, the design in that aspect as well, and I think therefore made it kind of relatable. There are parts of me around the kind of father and daughter dynamic that I also found quite relatable in the sense of kind of how my my dad could be, or how I guess his parents kind of coming over from the Caribbean, or my mum's parents, sorry, coming over from the Caribbean. The idea of like wanting a better life for their children and their grandchildren. That kind of theme was particularly relatable for me. And then I think sometimes the dynamic between Ray's and Ember sometimes reminds me of maybe Rob and I in our very, very kind of early days as well. So I think there were little snippets of the film I think kind of for me were relatable, I really enjoyed. But I think it was the kind of world and the detail that I think for me was just kind of like top notch in my kind of perspective. I thought it was really kind of well done, and therefore I thought it'd be really good. Pick to film to pick other way around. And yeah, I hadn't done like an animation before, and I'm trying to be quite varied, I guess, in my pick. So having last just done, I thought it was the right time to pick Elemental. So yeah, that's why I picked Elemental.
Nice.
Sorry, I just came in. Could you repeat all of what you just said, please?
Oh, Simon! Production, amazing. World, amazing. Themes, great. Parts of it, relatable. That's kind of the main headlines, really.
Okay.
So, Simon and Alec, how long do we have you guys today?
I mean, I kind of need to get up early, so let's say 12, just for the sake of saying 12, for the sake of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't plan to be on past 12 either. So I think we'll all be in bed by that point. Should all be good. I'll keep time check as the responsible one. Were you going to say something?
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I saw it before Rachel saw it, there was a lot of the kind of like family dynamic that I was relating to Rachel's family, like in terms of like it's not sort of like a 1-to-1 fit, like they don't own a shop or anything, but there's the whole thing of like kind of like generational expectancies and like expectations. Sorry.
Life expectancy. You all die.
I sort of said it, and I was like, "That's not right." But yeah, the whole thing about like sort of the different expectations between generations, and like some aspects of like how they're treated as well reminds me of like stories that I've heard. And then I think just like as a personality, Ember's dad really reminds me of Rachel's dad. Like the bit where Wade crashes the retirement party and he's like trying to win Ember back, and then Ember's dad's like, "What kind of food inspection is this?"
Oh yeah.
I was like, that's so Rachel's dad. Just and he's like he's literal to a point that like you say something once and it's set in stone for the rest of your life. Like and it just it really things like that just really made me laugh because of that. And yeah, I think I really like how they approach the whole thing. Like I think there's some really nice. There's some bits that aren't subtle. Like there's a lot of bits that are subtle that are quite nice in terms of like allegories for the world that we live in. Like you've got the bits that are like more on the nose, like when they're going through immigration at the start, and the guy can't understand their name, so he's just like, "Okay, you're Bernie and Cinderland," and it's like there's loads of examples like that which aren't so subtle. But then you've got the things like you were talking about when we were watching it today, when Ember's at Wade's family's house and she makes the vase. And Wade's mum's like, "Oh yeah, the whole city's made of melted glass. Like this is great." And it's like, "Oh, okay, so these are the people who've built this city, and it's still not built for them." And it's there's lots of bits that are really cool like that. And yeah, I think it's really nicely put together.
I'll go in terms of opening statement. Yeah, like when I initially saw it, or we initially saw it, still feel the same. Really good. I think I appreciate a little bit more this time. or maybe just remembered what we found out, like the history behind the film and the making of it from before. But yeah, really like it. Really good. And I like the approach, what they did with it. And yeah, I feel like it could apply to many people's situations. Like Rachel was saying, it's a lot of relatable kind of stuff in it from different cultures and different backgrounds and experiences. So yeah, just really good. I think that's pretty much it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go next. I've got to say, when we saw it in the cinema, I remember we saw the trailer when we were watching something else. I was like, oh yeah, we should go and see that. And when we went to see it in the cinema, I wasn't expecting much because I think I'd heard it hadn't been reviewed very well. And I loved it. And I remember at the end when one of the bits towards the end, and like I was like full on crying because I was like, this is sweet. I just remember being like, this film has no business being this cute. Like it's so sweet.
It really didn't review well.
I heard somewhere that it hadn't reviewed well, or people hadn't watched it much, or something.
Because for context, it's the most watched like kind of film on Disney Plus. Like has it
before it was on Disney Plus, which
I know. Maybe, yeah. But like for context, I think Hocus Pocus 2 at the time when it came out or premiered on Disney Plus or came onto Disney Plus, Hocus Pocus 2 had the most views of one of their original properties at like 26 million in total. And it surpassed that in like 5 days.
Oh.
So it did really well when it first came onto Disney Plus anyway. And it's in South Korea, it's the third most watched Disney film. Not Disney.
film on Disney Plus.
No, not on Disney Plus, just Disney. After Frozen and Frozen 2. Like Elemental is the third most popular Disney film in South Korea.
Interesting.
The director's family are from South Korea.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, I heard it hadn't reviewed well, but yeah, I loved it, and I loved it again. I think I definitely picked up on more of the subtleties, kind of in different parts of the film to do with like maybe I think the microaggressions when she meets his family. I feel like I might have been in the loop, so I didn't quite remember that all the way.
Yeah, it's like you speak so clear.
You speak so clear.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, because this is the language that
Spoken for my whole life.
I speak.
And they said, oh crap. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the good thing about watching a film at home is that, and because I went to go and detangle my hair in the middle of watching it, it meant that I could like think about some more of the parts more. And I think the word for it is very relatable. Like even at the beginning when the guy can't pronounce their names, it sparked a whole conversation because while I don't have a name that is difficult to be pronounced by English speakers, I somehow still spent like I don't go by my first name anymore because I spent that much of my life with having to like coach people on how to pronounce it, and it's like it's not a difficult name. It's literally how it's spelled, and this isn't in that film. Ember goes by the name her parents gave her, but my parents when my mum found out that I started to go by Camilla, my mum was quite upset, and she's still to this day a bit offended about it. But it's like I just got sick of people mispronouncing my name all the time. So yeah, lots of little things were quite relatable. And the world is so beautiful. I think that's my favorite thing about it. It's just really nice. I can't remember what else I was going to say. Yeah, that's the end of my opening statement. That's all I'm going to say.
Quick question: is Ben gonna come out soon first, or is he like still waiting for Ben as well for other stuff?
I think Ben said that he was coming on closer to 10, right?
Yeah, it'd be like 10, I think. Corey said.
Okay, so has everyone else gone, or
Yourself, Pat, Alec, and Corey.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I just literally checked the scores a couple of seconds ago. I thought I had the lowest score. Alec has beaten me by a significant amount. Was it just because there were too many element puns that you got annoyed by? Just that's a pick your brain a bit. Was it just because there were too many puns?
It wasn't because of that, but it didn't help.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I'll quickly go first then, because I guess my enjoyment for it is personal. I guess I do believe that this film is, as you guys probably said already quite a bit. It is a very, very, very well produced film. It's quite beautifully done. The aspects, the story, bits of bobs that are just have nitpicks, I guess, I have the story, but generally speaking, everything is very, very well made. It's so well made, it upset me because it was too relatable, to the point where I saw some of it, where I felt it to the point where I went, I've actually been in that situation before, and it hurt my soul slightly. And that's not like the film's fault. That's just like me going, empathy hurts sometimes. Okay, so as a thing about it, it's just like I've seen the situation what happened in the movie. I was like, I get it too much where, but I realised that my life is not a Disney movie because I don't have like fire powers or anything like that. But generally speaking, very well made. Hurt my soul a little bit because it's like just like personal preference. This is why I have like I did enjoy it as much as I could do, because I feel like we've had these conversations before quite a lot of movies. It's like sometimes you go watch a movie to get like lost in the world, but once that world is a bit too real, you go, let's just pull it back just a little bit, and it's just like, okay, it's just like, yeah. But apart from that, great pick, Rachel. It's like it's a great pick. It is a solid movie. Bits and bobs that are like story-wise that I have problems with, but like generally speaking, yeah, it's a pretty solid movie. I heard, again, this is the very big Disney rumor mill where they're gonna make a sequel to this, but then again, they say they will make a sequel to loads of movies. So, we'll see if there is actual sequel material in there, because like I feel like they kind of like ruined any potential sequel stuff with the end credits rolling, and they have like a little mini story at the end credits. So I was like, oh, they could have done that like as a separate story. It doesn't matter. But like, hopefully, we could see like how elements mix, and like we could find like a pun for like the subplot. It'll be like elemental mixed reactions or something like burning chemistry or something. It needs to be like a really stupid pun, and it's gonna be so stupid that when we hear it, we're gonna go, that's probably how far it's gonna be. I can see Alex shaking already. That's hilarious. But yeah, great pick, good movie. Just a little too much for me.
Too close to home. I hope there isn't a sequel.
Sorry, say again?
I said I really hope there isn't a sequel. Like how much I love
Mhm.
Moana, and then people have just hated the sequel. It's like just leave it. Maybe
I
a
bet leave
story in the
it.
same universe I'd be here for, but I don't want to see this film.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't really. I thought that there wasn't really a need for Frozen 2, but people really liked it. So I don't know. It really depends on how you
Frozen
want to
2 is
portray
just
this.
a cash cow, though. Frozen 2 is probably a cash cow.
I mean, from someone who's only seen Frozen 2, I can't really comment on what it's like compared to the first one. I think I would have been more annoyed with the story in the first one just because of some characters. But Frozen 2 was a good film. So, I,
It's a pretty good film on a cash
Um,
cow.
oh yeah, yeah. But at least it was good. There's some
Frozen
films
1
that are
was good.
cash cows and not good, and then it's just
yeah,
like,
but
oh,
like,
it's like,
yeah, but like, if we're gonna talk Disney sequels, we're gonna have to, or Disney Pixar sequels, we're gonna be talking about like Finding Nemo 2 or Finding Dory, and it's like, oh, was that good? Well, I mean, we'll get.
that
Well, I
was
mean, like,
wanted though. The fans
What?
wanted Finding Dory. That was a bit different.
uh,
Whether it was good or not was different because people asked for it. Did
Guys,
people
for
ask
time's sake,
for?
for time's sake, I'm gonna nip this conversation in the bud.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Sorry.
My next question, yeah, my next. Yeah, my next question was gonna be which of the Toy Story sequels did you like? But like, okay, no,
On the chat.
Okay.
Pat, I think you scored higher than me. Did you want to go before me?
What was that?
I think you scored higher than me. Did you want to go before me?
I feel like we should get the negative out the way first.
Oh, okay. Well, one
Oh,
wouldn't be
oh,
that
after Alan.
negative. Oh,
Ah,
I
Alex.
feel like if I go, I'm going to dominate the conversation. So you guys get your bits out the way.
Yeah, but we don't want to end on a negative, do we?
Yeah, but if I say something, then I'm going to get argued with, and then it's going to become that, and then you guys won't have said anything. So you guys go first.
Corey, do you want to go first? I'm still
Okay.
trying to work out what I'm going to say.
Sure, yeah. So I hadn't seen this before. There's a lot of movies that like my watch list is miles long, so there's a lot of things I haven't gotten to. Um, but yeah, I do obviously enjoy Pixar animations. And as for this one, there was a lot I enjoyed. Some things that kind of kept me back from like really appreciating it more. I felt like it was a little often a little like on the nose and a bit straightforward, and so those are the things that kind of just like made me want something maybe a bit more subtle and nuanced. That might be, yeah. So but in terms of just like the purpose of the story and the themes and the relatability, like I really connected to this multiple times. um Not from like obviously like this is more of like an immigrant family story, which I can't relate to personally, but in terms of like being in a world that like wasn't built for me as a like person of color, and as well as like, you know, there was that straight off the bat um the beginning where they changed their names. Like that's something that's part of my family's history as well. And so there was a lot of like really meaningful, deep, like, Simon, I get why you were like uncomfortably connected to this movie sometimes. I can fully understand that. Um so that's what makes this like these kinds of films like so important, and I'm so happy to see them out there and being appreciated so well. And I think a lot of it was done like incredibly well. Like, yeah, visually it was beautiful. Um and the story between Ember and Wade, I thought was like, I think they did a really good job of showing like the different angles and like complexities of like a relationship that spans that kind of like um coming from two different worlds like that. I think they treated that story really well, and that was that was the main storyline that was really touching to me. um so yeah, really, I was like emotionally impacted big time by this. You know, laughed, cried, So obviously, like for me, that's the mark of like a really enjoyable, well done movie. Um, so yeah, all in all, that's mainly it. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed it pretty well. So yeah, thanks for picking it, Rachel.
I guess it's me now then. Um, I've always had a liking for sort of structure of Pixar films in general. I think they've probably been some of my favourite Disney films. Period. Like minus the sort of Disney top three of Lion King, Aladdin, and Moana. But this one sort of felt like more like a Disney film rather than the Pixar one. I don't know if you guys think that as well. I quite like the sort of immigrant coming to. I more saw it as like maybe someone coming from India to America, trying to make a life for themselves, and like finding a place of belonging and building a shop where they family could grow, and then they can build their own community within it. And then obviously the main city being like a no go for them, and whenever there's like whenever the water guy turns up, the dad is sort of obviously gets a bit up in his feelings about it. I quite like the dynamic of it, and then obviously with the threat of Amber shutting her family's or her dad's shop down because of first obviously creating the issue and then having the inspector flow through the pipes. I was like, oh shit! I felt really sorry for it at the time, but I think the story flowed so well from that situation. Yeah, I thought it's quite a sweet story. Animation was incredible as usual. The voice acting was pretty good. Like there's very little I didn't like about it. Actually, I don't think there is anything I disliked about it. But yeah, it was a great pick. I'm done.
I think it's time for Alec to bring the hammer down now.
How are we all doing? Having a good time?
I was.
Yeah, I found this frustrating. Mainly because like it's really irritating what like really liking like the core of the story. But getting really fucking irritated with the mechanics because I gotta tell you the bit at the end with the big bow and everything, like just kind of like the setup of that, of kind of like this immigrant father making a decision to leave his homeland and everything, and just kind of trying to get his father's blessing and not receiving it, and that really like affecting him and everything, and he's had to take his wife to like another effectively country, and everything where like there's not really like an infrastructure to kind of like support them or anything, and then like kind of this whole, I don't know, there's kind of like this thing of like it's a family business and they need to decide how it's gonna like propagate because there's been like a lot of work that's gone into this and everything, and Ember coming out of the end of it and deciding that she's gonna she needs to do what she wants to do, not see like all the work that went into it as like a like her burden, like not even just like a burden, her burden specifically. and everything, and then go off and then still do the big bow back to Dad and this time get it in return. That's fucking massive. That's such a big deal. And it still makes me tear up. Like, as you know, as annoyed as I get around like the mechanics surrounding the story. I even tear up at the bit with when they think Wade's dead, like, kind of thing. Like, there's stuff in here that I really, really like, and I think is really, really strong. But there's, I think going through it slowly and really picking apart how the mechanics sort of make it happen, really, really frustrating. Like, I didn't realize it was going to be like as broken like as it is. But yeah, I'm more disappointed because I kind of I like the middle. I like the I think there's a solid core to this that I really do like. But yeah, it's just how we get there that I think is not so good.
So, as like to break it down slightly for myself, so you don't mind the process so much, but you think the result was a bit iffy, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Opposite.
Oh, so you like so right. So the destination was good, the journey was a bit bumpy.
Yeah, the payoff. As far as I'm concerned, the payoffs are all there. It's just getting there and everything, and it's why I got so annoyed at the Gale character. Like, the Gale character, I think, like is like complete, like just totally destructive to like the whole story, and it's kind of the main. It's the main reason why they get together. So like the whole point is these two need to be interacting with each other, and these two need to be going on an adventure that puts them in a position where they have to work together and get past their differences, and then romance blossoms basically. So how do you do that? I don't know. You kind of start off with like there's already like a little bit of a he just happens to. Sorry, I was blown away by this flashback. Just like he so happens to be right by where there's a leak where he's gonna get sucked into the pipe. The pipe is revealed to then be blocked up until like the same 3 seconds that Ember happens to have gone down into the basement to like explode in frustration. Otherwise he'd be like stuck there entirely. But then he can't remember where the leak is. Like he can't so he has to go to his boss, and they have to go talk to their boss because Wade is so emotionally charged, despite the fact that he was emotionally charged when he wrote up all the tickets, and he still could do his job weirdly. He's like, if you appeal to my boss, then she might let you off, and it's like building permits aren't necessarily there for like fun or like discriminatory purposes. They are there for like safety and like anti-crime, and like there's reasons there are permits and everything. So when we so already like we need to go to talk to my boss. When are we going to talk to my boss? As it turns out, I forgot my tickets in the office, and if I didn't forget that my tickets were in the office, you'd have absolutely no fucking idea about this. So Wade has to forget his tickets, walk past her, and then he has to mention that he's got 2. Then she goes, "Oh, 2, as in plural," right after being like quite rude to him. Like she's got the thing she says before he mentions he's got 2 tickets. Is she's like, "Oh, go and flow somewhere else," and he's like, "Oh, I've got 2 tickets," and she goes, "Oh, as in plural," and then they just cut and they're straight there, and I'm like, "Wow, that was really fucking naked."
I see. Yeah. I see what you're getting there. Yeah.
So then we get to the game.
Yeah.
We get to the game, and so and then Ember's like, "Okay, I need to go and do this." And she's like, "Hi, Gale," and Gale's like very clearly focused in on something, and she's like, "I've got to keep her on side," so she keeps bothering her about it. And on the 3rd time, she's like, "Do you mind? I'm kind of doing something." Wade doesn't like stop her or anything. Goes like, "Maybe we should wait until after the game Like, he doesn't make any attempt to try and do that. She's just kind of going, "Hey Gale, hey Gale, hey Gale," and I'm just like, "Leave it." Like, anyone can see she's like not gonna. She's not in the frame of mind to absorb what you're saying. Like, anyone can just see that. But then that all happens, and then she puts them in a position where she goes, "Okay, well, you know what, Sparky, we'll get into like a thing where I will expunge all 30 violations on your building." You don't get 30 violations on a building for fun, by the way. Like, you have to really have fucked up somewhere to get 30 violations on a building, surely. But she then turns it into a transactional thing where she goes, can you, Ember, go and join my staff member to go and do council work, and in exchange, I will get rid of all the violations. I'll just wipe them all clean and pretend they don't exist. And I'm like, okay, so that's like extortion. I'd asked my dad. I was like, "Is that extortion?" And he was like, "It's gross fucking misconduct." I was like, "Yeah." The point is that we need to do that to get them two in the balloon sorting something out, so they can go and solve the leak kind of thing. But it's kind of like what she should do as a counsellor is she should go, "I'm fixing the leak. And then we're going to talk about your dad's place." They should be two completely separate things. Ember should, and what happens if Ember dies? What happens if Ember gets killed in the searching for this leak? Like, where does that go? What if there's kind of inquiry and they go, "Hey, Gale, some fire girl died under instruction from you. Like, what happened there?" And then she's like, and it's like, "Oh, you made it into a thing. You made it into this weird transactional arrangement where you were getting a citizen to do council work at risk of her life, being it was a water deal and she's a fire person." And I'm like, so you had to contrive all of this just to get him in the balloon where they go and have a chat with each other. And I was like,
I gotta say, I think from what you're saying, you would be shocked if you spent a day at my job.
yeah, you know what? I probably would. But this is my problem isn't that this happens necessarily. It's that there's the film doesn't treat that as wrong. They kind of just go, "Yep, that's okay." Gale got a boyfriend at the end, by the way, and I'm like, if she's doing that, she's a criminal and should be. But the film doesn't really pick up that happened. There's no victimization of Gale. There's no reveal that Gale was the antagonist all along, that she was exploiting citizens, that she was getting people to do council work for her under threat of their livelihood. She's just like, "Oh, hey Gale, how you doing? Oh yeah, I'm cool, cheers." And she's just treated like a pal later, and I'm just like, wow, it's really weird that you've done this. So yeah, I'm not doubting it happens. It's just the film's framing of it being fine that I was like, what the fuck?
This is the thing though, I do think it's it didn't strike me as weird because it kind of does go on quite normally.
Yeah, but
sorry, Simon, because there was another bit you said about building regulations not being discriminatory, but there was a project that we did a little while ago on loads of things like that. It basically found that a lot of it was there to test people's English rather than the suitability of what they're doing.
Okay.
So that lots of people things with food hygiene ratings as well. You're way more likely to get a low food hygiene rating if you can't speak English than if you can, right. And things like that. So there's a big history of those kind of things being discriminatory, and there's also a big history of those kind of things just being a stealth tax rather than serving any purpose. Yeah, I think there's a bit more to it.
And without making it sound weird, it does sound like you're upset there is there's not a trail of paperwork and accountability, which sounds silly, but it kind of makes sense. I understand some of it where you're coming from, because it goes essentially, you feel like they jumped quite a lot of steps to get where they are, and they got really friendly with Gale, who is the antagonist, but I didn't really see her as the antagonist part of it.
She's not the antagonist because the film doesn't treat her like that. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, but I thought of her more I feel like all of us have worked in I say all of us. I say most of us who's worked in retail have had a really shitty boss, and I guess the best way to say is I mean, yeah, because she's a really shitty boss, but she's not all too bad some of the times. Because, admittedly speaking, you saying that about the fire, about the leak thing was already like a problem. There's a second part of that where she's got a bunch of guys with the hammers hitting the glass, which I think is the reason why it has a crack in the next place, you know, because I think if they didn't hit the fucking glass with the hammer, it would have been fine. But once they hit the glass, it was like, no, yeah, that's probably what started the line, the like thin crack. Then after it's gonna start cracking. But it gets worse because you realise she's a government person who works for like building regulations. Then she purposely breaks building regulations when they go into the fucking like Hysteria fire station place, where she purposely breaks those regulations because, you know what, I'm gonna do a favour for a friend, which is a joke that they made about the fence. Which, I mean, like, to be honest, I'm pretty sure they know that the fence like is useless, but it's for insurance purposes. So there's a point of like, yeah, I know that you can fucking slide through this fence, but the fence is here, so once you do so, if you die, it's not the government's fault. It's your own fucking fault because you decided to go past this obvious fucking fence. And it's just like, you know, that's how I saw it at least. But like, yeah. But admittedly speaking, it's like I always thought of it like she's antagonist, kind of antagonist, but she's more like the annoying boss that is actually once you get to know her, she's okay, but she's still kind of like annoying boss or manager character. So that's the best way to describe it for me.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing, though. I'm not questioning it happening. I'm okay with the idea that it happens. I'm sure it does. Like, because if you've got stuff to do and you have a minority who doesn't know what the fuck is happening, like, yeah, like that's probably who you fucking take advantage of. But it's just that the way the film frames it, because the film frames it like, you like Gale? Gale's pretty cool. She's just like kind of an annoying boss. Once you get on the right side of her, she's completely fine. And it's like, no, she's fucking evil. She's like exploiting people to do work for her and threatening their livelihood. That's fucking evil. I don't know how else to describe it. The film just kind of going like, yeah, she's alright. I was like, no, she's not. She's awful. Like, what do you? Why do you make this character? Like
Simon, I could see. Oh, sorry. Did you want to go ahead, Emmanuel?
Yeah. I'll go because I was waiting. Sorry. Just before I get into what I was saying, something Simon said about the fence reminded me of something we watched in the show the other day, where someone was recounting one of their experiences in Nigeria, and he said, we kind of do things in more of a common sense approach. Is it instead of having a sign at the river say caution deep or something river, we say that if you see the signs, you can see the river. So why have the sign in the first place? It's already too late. But what I was gonna say is just to add to everything everyone said, because like you already know this, Alec. I could imagine that this was inspired by some real situations that happen. I feel like I know stories of stuff like this as well. And one of the things that struck me, and I don't know if the film was trying to say this at all, but when Gail said she'd wipe it out, while she was also being manipulative and all that other stuff, like you said, which is correct, I wonder if there was an element of it where at some point she realized, wait, if this actually gets out, we're kind of screwed, because the father should have never been told to build all of that himself.
Been allowed to build all of that himself.
Yeah, been allowed, but I say told because they would have been like, we're not going to do it. If you want it, do it yourself.
Yeah, they wouldn't have given him the resources or the help to do it. He wouldn't have been able to afford it, maybe either.
Yeah, but it's kind of like how you have in those places like the Forgotten or Lala Zones, like, we should be doing our job to actually do X, Y, and Z, but we're not. So we're just gonna ignore this. And you have stuff like that as well in the animated series League of Legends. What's it called?
Okay.
Arcane. There's elements of that. In many different series, you have elements of that. So I wonder if there was a part of that as well, where she was like, actually, I want to kind of shush this under the rug. And again, in a manipulative way, going, you know what? Let me actually try and do her a favor. So hopefully she won't come after me legally. And then my job's at risk now that I realize how big this actually is. Especially after how, yeah, there's like a lot of people almost died afterwards. That's a whole nother thing, of course. What I would say on the last bit about how they don't necessarily address it in the way that I guess your average film should address it. I assume there's that, not that it's an excuse, but I assume it's two things. You have the kind of Disney Pixar lens of wanting to resolve things in the most optimistic way possible, but also I wonder if there's a kind of element of, ideally, instead of, obviously legally she still should have, what you call it, paid for her what she did. But I wonder if there's an element of, they
I think
would
you said
like
element on
people
purpose.
no, I didn't. Of yeah, I didn't think about that. Of wanting of trying to show an example of people trying to resolve things, or both parties actively trying to resolve things to be more positive in the future, rather than what tends to happen in actual real life. And I know there's better ways to do that. You could still have her being arrested and it even be funny. And that does happen in certain films, especially when it's an actual, like, you have the main antagonist and it's like they're made fun of. They are the fool. And it's shown how this is foolish. So I get what you're saying. I also am not surprised they kind of did it like that. But yeah.
But also, I think in a lot of real life situations, there aren't many consequences for people like that. There just aren't. Like, life just moves on, and they kind of get away with things like that, kind of scot-free. That is the reality of a lot of those situations, and exploitation of people, or mistreatment of people, or whatever. And I think, I just think that's just quite standard. And I think that maybe, if you've got lived experience, or you know people with lived experience, that you just see that happening, that a lot of people get away with that kind of mistreatment of others, and there is no consequence.
But
Corey,
they wouldn't be in my bloody shop afterward, I'll tell you that.
So Alec, what you've been saying is that, would you say like your lower scory score is due to like Gale not receiving any form of like judgment or consequence for her actions?
It's one part. There's I've got a lot of issues with the story, but that's kind of the main headliney one. Or surprises in there.
Yeah, I just would say that like I would agree. Like I see your frustration, but like what other people have said, like it's very much representative like of like the real world and how things work, and how some people can be like unprofessional and they get away with it and nothing really major happens. So I just don't. I would get frustration, but I wouldn't get like scoring it too negatively based on like how she was not she didn't receive any consequence for it, because that's true to reality, I would say. So
Yeah, I just her not getting any kind of consequence for me made me kind of go like, I don't know. It kind of made me question whether they knew it was in there, whether they knew they'd done that, or whether they'd kind of gone, we need these two guys together, and here's how we'll do it. And it's made me question it. But like, there were lots of other lots of little things. Well, I say little things. There was a big one that I was also getting annoyed by, and it was Ember's anger management. And there's a little title card, and it says, like, because they have the conversation of like, calm it down and make a connection, and then there's a title card that says several years later, and she's having another difficult interaction with a customer, and she goes, keep calm, make a connection, keep calm, make a connection, keep calm, and then like explodes. And I was like, several years several years, and you've not got past that. Nobody suggested an alternative anger management. That one's not working. I don't know if you're aware of that. That one's a bit, maybe works for somebody, not you though. You probably
quite
need
true to life.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Yeah, that's why I'm just like, well, I don't know. Actually, several years. I feel
It
like
makes
someone would
me-
have gone. You know what? I need you to take over. I need you to take over the shop. We need to find another way for you to do this, because several years is a long time to not be able to handle light criticism from a customer, like just really light. But then she's angry about. She gets angry about someone going, these things aren't crunchy, and then but like she won't get angry about other things. So like when Wade comes on at the midpoint and he goes, by the way, deadline's coming up, and I just happened to remember that I pissed off the work crew a week ago, and actually, yeah, we haven't actually fixed anything. The sandbags are all fucked. I forgot that I pissed them all off, so they're not going to do anything for it. And then he makes a joke about like, but no, there's no hard feelings. He doesn't get angry at that. I'd get so angry at that. I was like, I just pictured like Rob telling Rachel, like there's a very sharp deadline. The thing that you trusted me to do, I completely forgot that I pissed everyone off involving that, and we actually can't do that, and there's no time to fix it, and everything's fucked. I was like, I can't imagine Rachel just kind of going like, yeah, fair enough. I feel like there'd be anger there. I feel like there'd be a bit of frustration, going like, you fucking forgot you pissed off 5 workmen.
No, I'm going to push back on that, because I think if there's been loads of times where like different people have different triggers, right? And I could totally see if like somebody was, I can totally see if somebody was kind of like shit talking something that Rachel's dad had cooked, she would explode. But there was one time when we were decorating the house, I dropped a fucking bucket of paint down the stairs, so it fucking splattered everywhere at the bottom. And I'm thinking, oh shit, she's going to go mad. And she literally just came out and went, okay, we can fix this. And it was fine. Like, so yeah, like, different triggers affect different things. I do think that's reasonable.
Yeah,
So
it's just this. It's the main thing saving her family's shop is this leak being sorted out, and now that she's
But there's no
just
malice,
found
that's
out
the-
there's no. Huh?
But there's no malice, so the trigger hits differently. So I think it's totally reasonable.
Okay, sure.
Can I just say, sorry, but on the topic of like bureaucracy and misconduct, and just the way that the council isn't behaving properly. So one person who works for your local council upset a crew of builders, and therefore they're not going to fix a massive infrastructure problem.
Yeah, I feel like you'd fire all them.
I feel like
mean-
that's worse than everything else that happened. But also, the guy at the beginning, Wade is only in the basement, and he's written 30 violations, and most of them are about the pipes. We can assume because that's all he saw, but there shouldn't be any water there anyway. So I feel like the violations themselves are a silly contrivance, that how it was dealt with is kind of neither here nor there, because there should be no water in that district as it is, and he isn't experienced enough in that job to know that. That's why Gail is like, wait, in Firetown there shouldn't be any water there, and then like, go figure this out, because the only reason for the violation is because of the water. But if there was no water, there's no issue. But I don't know, they're my 2
I
cents
think
on that.
That's part of why she reacts how she does, though, isn't it? So it's kind of like because she knows that there's been a fuck up somewhere and she's probably liable for it. Then that's the
Yeah.
thing. And the thing with the builders being pissed off like that just reminds me of another thing at work where the binmen were pissed off, so they started setting fire to the bin lorries. So it's like
That's extreme, right? Like for like in the movie, like they're pissed off because they literally like physically can't move because of like the cement powder. I was like, okay, I kind of like you physically disabled the half the fucking work crew so they can't move. So I was like, okay, I kind of understand why they'll be pissed off at him, right? But like
This is where there's a council story about people getting petrified. It's just like, nah, that didn't happen the other day.
Yeah, that's spicy. That's some spicy news.
You know what? I
Yeah.
think. Oh, sorry. Did you want?
Sorry. I was waiting for Simon in case he had more because I know he was waiting to talk. But like, there was two things that reminded me when you was talking, Alec. One, when you said 7 years, and it's like several years, you didn't think this is not working for her. We need to try something else. It made me remember as it's the same in Chinese as well as Japanese. Obviously, Simon, you can attest to this yourself.
Are you saying Simon's Chinese?
Mental health like does not exist. The word for depression doesn't actually exist. Like the way
Different communities and lack of adequate mental health support.
yeah, and the
Well,
way yeah,
Even more iconic duo. There is none.
and I remember so keenly when I was at uni, and my friend, she was a bit different background, Chinese Malay, and that comes with its own stuff. But she was like, I didn't know there was a word for depression until I came to this country. Like on the flip side, in Japan, like anyone who, and it's usually foreigners, but anyone who brings up any kind of talk about that side of mental health or almost any of it just gets quiet, shushed. No, you just gotta push through. It's just what it is. Shut up, stop being weak, and get
over it.
and get over it. Your grandma did it, blah blah did it. Many people in our family had this. If they could do it, you can do it. Shut up and get through it. Even if it doesn't work for so many years, they're just like, oh, just shut up and get on with it. So there's that. And then what was there was another part, but I forgot. Oh yeah, the trigger. I get what you're saying. On another, just to offer another point of view, I could at that time I imagined that because of how much damage and stuff she causes from her temper, I could imagine she related to that. The amount of people she's pissed off or annoyed and does not remember. Oh, he basically did the same. Oh, okay. I could imagine she's going into that mode of, oh, we've got to fix this, like what she would do. And she's probably done that many times. So I wonder if that also kind of contributes because she's just like, oh, I can't really be that mad because I do this myself, not consciously, but you get what I mean.
But it's also the fact, I think, by that point, it's like her anger has kind of almost done the worst that it could do. Like, it's actually caused destruction for her dad's company. And that's like, oh crap, that probably is the realization of I need to get this under control. Actually, like, my anger's done so much harm, and that she's kind of like learned her lesson, because actually her ability to kind of keep things under control is what's got her in that mess in the first place. Whereas with the sparklers, for example, a bit like the example that Rob used, right? It's kind of like that's insulting to her dad's business and kind of what they're about and the way that they make their livelihood, and that you do take, I can imagine she would take personally. But I think by that point she's kind of grown so much and seen the consequences that her anger has had, and I think she's probably come to a realization, and maybe they could have made more of a point of this, but I think she's probably come to a realization that actually my anger kind of only causes destruction and is the reason why I'm in the situation. It's not going to serve me well now. And I think that's at least some sort of growth. And yes, maybe they could have been a bit more explicit about that. But yeah, I think that's probably would be my rationale or kind of argument for it. Sorry, Corey, I know you wanted to come in, and Ben needs to do his opening statement as well. So go for it, Corey.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So I'll go quickly, and then Ben can talk after me. Thanks for waiting, Ben. So yeah, a couple of things. Which should I start first? Okay, so I'll start with what's coming to my head first. The years and years and years of her trying the same trick to try to manage her anger wasn't that surprising to me. Somebody who personally has worked like so hard. First of all, working on your mental health takes so long, and what is key is what your support system is, and learning proper ways to work through things. And when you don't have that, yeah, it could be you're just stuck and you don't know what else to try if you don't have the right support system or people teaching you different ways to do things. Like, I think like the lack of emotional awareness and mental health awareness like can be like staggering if you don't have somebody opening you to like new ideas and new ways to think of things and new ways to work through things. It's like something like, in my opinion, is not really like intuitive. Like, you need a lot of these things need to be taught, and so when you don't have proper support for that, you can really very much be stuck in a rut, and you get kind of used to it too. You don't realize that there's something else you could be trying differently, and so you just figure you just got to bang your head over and over and over again. Like, how many of us have tried the same thing over and over again, thinking that might work the next time? So that's my one thought on that. And as related to that, I really loved how Wade opened up her eyes to a new way of like viewing her emotions. Like, he was the new person who gave her a new insight and perspective. If she hadn't met him, she would have gone on not knowing that there's different ways to view your emotions and work through them. So I thought that was really awesome. And I had a thought about all the problems, the building code problems, and what we haven't talked about is, I don't think, sometimes always my attention goes in and out. I never catch everything, but I think, so what I was thinking is like, a lot of the reason why that building had so many code problems is because when they first tried to look for a place to live and put their business, they got door after door after door shut in their face, and they had no other choice but to pick this like POS building crumbling. And I could understand why they didn't go the proper route, because up until that point they were shown that they weren't going to get much support, so they did things on their own and made it work on their own. And so, and of course, classic, like, they all notice and they all care that something's wrong, and the system is quick to point out something's wrong. But like, when they were there to like, the system failed them when they first came, and they wouldn't have had so many problems if the system had helped them and supported them in the way that they would have supported somebody else. So I thought that was something worthwhile to point out. Even though, like, what I loved about Wade, at least he did it like he really cracked me up. I forgot to say this. I really related to Wade with how much he cried. He cried for everything. And he was crying after like writing her up, at least. Like, he was regretful. Yeah,
Wade is
what's that?
Wade is Rob.
Yeah, absolutely.
My,
Wade is Rob.
my profile picture on Disney Plus is Wade.
Yeah, mine's Ember, to be fair.
Wait, can you not eat spicy foods, Rob?
Oh mate, that was that genuinely happened to us. So
To you.
well, yeah, but you were an essential part of this. So when I met Rachel's uncle Cedric, so he used to make his own hot sauce, and it was when we first got together. So the whole way there, I was like, yeah, I can take hot chili, like, it doesn't affect me at all. I'm gonna be fine with however hot it is. And I'd made this big thing about like how tolerant I am of spicy foods. So when we got there, obviously Rachel dropped me in it, and she was like, "Oh, Cedric, Rob really loves hot food. You should give him some of your hot sauce." And he gave me a fucking teaspoon with nothing else. And I literally took this teaspoon, and as soon as it hit my tongue, I was like, "Fuck, I'm in trouble," and I swallowed it. And I can't show this. So I was like, "Yeah, man, that's great. I'll have another." And I was like, "Fuck, why am I saying this?" And so I was like, inside I was dying, but on the surface I was like, "Yeah, it's really nice, man."
It literally was the scene.
Yeah, it's real good. Oh, I could see the steam that's literally coming off your head. Oh, that's fucking That's perfect.
That was the thing. I vividly remember as well. After I'd had this hot sauce, Cedric was like, "No, fair enough, man." And then he gave me one, and I was like, "I got away with it."
Did you get banned from his shop afterward?
So long as you didn't say you watered it down.
Going on so long next time I saw him.
Go for it, Ben.
Spoilers. It's good. I don't know how much you guys have gone into the nitty gritty of it. I've kind of got a taste of what people love and dislike about this film, but I think overall, this film, is just like an exemplary example of Pixar at its best. I think, obviously, since Soul, Pixar have been up and down in terms of quality, and before that, they kind of like didn't quite have the magic as what they had before. But this film, I think, really encapsulates just like an original idea with an amazing story concept told in a really kind of like straightforward way that people of all ages can really grasp and get into. It's relatable. It's relevant to the time it came out. It's relevant to now. It was relevant to when people saw it. In probably, if people see it in like 20 years, it's probably still going to be relevant because of like the themes and the ideologies and all the like subtext it has, which is really quite nuanced and really quite intricate for a film like this. And I feel that it's incredibly poignant and powerful to actually do all these themes and ideas in a really subtle way to kind of make it really kind of like, I suppose it's kind of like, in a way, it's easy to digest and kind of comprehend and get your head around because it's just told in a way that's quite universal. And I feel that's quite important and very integral for films of this day and age because, like, you know, Disney is not known for their most nuanced stuff. They're quite generic. They're quite, let's just do stuff to make money. But Pixar, I feel like, are still, even if they're under the Disney family, the Disney kind of like bracket, they still manage to get great filmmakers and great storytellers to tell stories that are relevant and have a lot of things to say and have incredible messages. And why I loved Elemental because of the the Elementals that it's just a classic Pixar thing. It's just that here's the gimmick and here's how we're going to make it relevant to people of any age. And it's kind of like, yeah, strip down everything about this film. It's just like a boy and a girl from different cultures and classes and backgrounds just meeting and falling in love. And that's the crux of the story. It just happens to be like a leak in the basement of the main character's shop. And that's kind of the thing that kind of is the narrative kind of like pull through for the whole thing. And I feel that they're masters at doing something like that. And you have the Pixar layer of like, yeah, let's going to make it the core elements, like the whole thing of the fire, water, air, and earth. It's kind of like all these things are so kind of fundamental, something that we can all understand and comprehend, but it's just done in a way that like the youngest audience members could understand and comprehend it. And I feel that's quite a powerful thing to do in this day and age, kind of do it in a way that kids can have this message shown to them in a way that's really quite digestible and comprehensible to them, and then they grow up to kind of understand why these values and themes and morals and stuff are all important to when they grow up. So it's really important. and really, really impressive that he can do it so well. Loved Wade and Ember as characters. They're just like so endearing, and I'm sure you guys have said, but yeah, I can see there's a lot of Rob in Wade, and there's a lot of Ember and Rachel, and but I can see a lot of myself in Wade as well, and I can see Corey and Ember as well. I think there's a lot of things that we can all relate to, and how these characters and their dynamics are shown in this film, and how they evolve from the start to the end. And they do it in such a subtle way that's quite commendable, just because of how they interact and how they're presented, and this what they have to go through from A to B. It's quite impressive. There's a lot to unpack, and I think when we watched the documentary, I don't know if you guys saw. I saw the documentary behind the scenes of this film that really, really went and showed you how personal this film is to the director and the screenwriter. He was brought up and as a American-born Korean. His mom and dad immigrated to New York, and they've made a business in somewhere in Manhattan, and they kind of like, as you see in this film, they just became kind of a part of the culture, and they kind of realized how, in a way, that New York is kind of tailored to certain demographics, but also it's not very kind and easy to get in for people that from outside, you might say. So it's just how personal it is for the director to come through and trying to make it as a kind of like reflection of him growing up as a person who he himself, American born Korean, fell in love with a white American woman. That came into the story as well quite vividly, and kind of spoke to himself that there was a story here that I can tell that kind of like is not only just universal, but something that everyone of all cultures could kind of understand and get and kind of relate to. But I'll come think of some more things about it. But Elemental's quite impressive film, just for the reasons I've said. But I'm sure you guys have said before. But I'm probably waffling now. But just the concept and idea of it is just like lovely, and I was just swept away in the story and the relationships of the characters, and just wanting to basically just get together and live happily ever after. That's kind of what you want, and it worked in that regard, because you just relate and love the characters so much, and you just want the best for them. And when things don't go their way, you get frustrated, and so I suppose that's the mark of a good film. You're just kind of engrossed and taken in. But I'll have something else to say once I get my head around some other ideas that I'm trying to think of, because I kind of like when you're just kind of like brain waffling, or what's the word? Just you can't find the words to kind of like. But once you guys start talking, I'll think of something, no doubt. But wonderful film.
I just wanted to point out, I guess, the just the detail of like the worlds that they'd created, and I think it really kind of stood out to me, the bits where she was doing the delivery service, right? And you see like a baby being pushed around in like the barbecue stroller, and then being fed like lighter fluid, and the car in front being like Toyota or something like. And just like, obviously Wade boiling when she comes near. Just like the attention to detail, I think, in the kind of whole animation and kind of like production of it all, I thought was absolutely just incredible. to kind of to see and kind of visually, I just thought was really really strong. Yes, just little things like that I thought were like just such kind of like clever touches to the film.
And they're incredibly realistic as well in the best and worst ways. There's certain little jokes that they have which are like when you're actually at the fireplace, they have little pun jokes on the like background where like the pack of like crisps are barbecue flavored wood chips. I'm like, yeah, that's smart. But then afterwards they have like little things that I guess if you've I guess worked in those sort of stores before, or as in like again me, they have little things like there's a little sign that says like there's a little faded that says no checks on like the glass there, and I'm thinking about it and I was like, it's such a small thing, but like I get most let's say ethnic stores have that like just a little handwritten sign that says no checks, and I was just like, oh yeah, because of the situation that they grew up in, especially with them immigrating from a place and having nothing and then moving over to a place, there's no trust in like the bank infrastructure, or they don't really have the bank infrastructure there, so everything is in cash and stuff, and I'm like, oh, so very very much like real life then. And I was like, that's such a it was such a like you because I saw it when Bernie was like sleeping, waiting for Emily to come back with a grocery from like doing the delivery run. I was like, oh, I just saw the sign just as he's his head there. I was like, such a small detail makes so much sense because because the director grew up with that, and like anyone else who's probably seen or grown up with that would go, I get it, I definitely get it.
That reminded me of the time a little while ago when I was in your shop and I only wanted to spend like 2 or 3 quid. And I asked if I could pay on card, and you were like, "Dude, I'd rather give it to you for free."
Fucking. Oh man, I had.
Good thing we're not recording this for anyone to see.
I mean, I've had this conversation I fucking just had this conversation today about it. I mean, like, the law is on my side for card minimum, so I'm fine. It's so if you really want to like cut here. We'll say it like this: if charging to use the card is illegal, don't do that. I have a card minimum. Card minimum is not illegal. The card companies frown upon it, but it's not illegal. Charging your card is illegal, but they don't care when it's like the O2 doing concert tickets and charging you for administration fees. That's them charging you to use your card, and that's it's bullshit. So I don't see no class action lawsuit there. I mean, like if there was, I mean, like I'm gonna start. Oh, let's start it now. And yeah, okay. Just in case we need to snip some bits out. Okay.
Yeah. I did have a moment with one of the background details, and like I was wrong about it, but there's a bit where they walk past. It's like right at the beginning. They walk past like a little cart, and it's a guy. I heard it as hot dogs, and I went, "Hang on." There's a Fifth Elements joined the fucking crew here. It's like fire, air, earth, water, and pig. It's like what? And then I re-round it and it was, hot logs. And I went, okay. It's like fucking hot dogs, excuse me?
It's just so many, I wouldn't say good puns, but like quite a lot of decent, I mean like okay-ish puns, yeah.
I did not care for Triota.
Can I ask about your score for production?
Yeah, it's Pixar, so like graphically looks really, really good. They had the tools to realize what they wanted to realize, but I did not care for what they wanted to realize. I found a lot of the designs like kind of hellish. I really don't like the air people. Like just the way their faces are really just. It I don't know. It just engages my gag reflex. It's just kind of like massive head, teeny tiny features. I'm just like, oh, like it just does something weird to me. And then I don't know. You just got there was just a lot of different, like I don't know, just I don't want to call it like color vomit, but like that's kind of what it felt like to me at points. Like I kept kind of having to pause it and going like, "Cool, blimey!" Like you just got like vibrant pink air person, embers going purple. It's reflecting off Wade, and I was just kind of going like, "Oh God, you are hard to look at points." Like for me, you know, I'm happy to say that's just a preference.
You don't have.
But
you don't have epilepsy, do you? Or you got to start seeing lots of bright colours, and you start like.
It was just lots of colours competing for each other, and I was just like, oh, I don't actually like any of the designs that much, to be honest.
I think I realised it's because the colours were pastels, and like not everyone likes pastel colours.
Or watercolours, as Wade's stepfather was saying.
I mean, that was yeah. I did actually. I've all the jokes. I did like that joke actually. Admittedly, like the first time we see Wade in his weird, like more tight fit water form, it was a bit odd looking at him. Next afterwards, when he goes back, actually, got all pressed out. Then he goes back into his weird, like more bubble form, and it's like, oh, that just looked weird for a second. It was just, it was odd because they super defined his body parts to the point where he's got water pecs, and I was just like, that's just so weird to look at. So yeah,
that one really irritated me. Just where he's like, I'm all bent out of shape, and I was just like, you're water, you don't have a shape. You're very transparently doing this for a joke. Like, but also I was like just weirded out by like because Ember's like, dang, and I was like, well, hang on a minute, because physique actually shouldn't actually matter to people who can change their shape at will. All of you basically can. But like the whole thing is like why we find physique impressive is because it's difficult to maintain a physique like that and have a physique like that. And so if someone has a physique like that, then you go, oh wow, they've worked really, really hard, and that's like just kind of naturally attractive. But when you're in a society of people where you can all change your shape, why is that impressive? Why doesn't everyone just fucking walk around like jacked as fuck? Like what? I just didn't get that joke.
Isn't Wade's natural physique as you see him in the film? Because when he comes out all jacked and Ember's like, wow, he looks great, and then he just goes, oh, he was in his relaxed state. He's just his normal state.
But he's water. He can make his state wherever he wants.
Yeah, but if he has to be that state all the time, he's going to be like tense all the time. It's not a natural state. It's like when you're literally relaxed, you're going to be your normal state.
Yeah, but him going through a pipe doesn't change it.
Yeah, but it's not a permanent thing though. It's just a temporary thing. That's the whole thing. It's like Ember being angry. It's a temporary like reflex of her mood. It's just
okay. He felt uncomfortable. Like he didn't see himself.
Yeah, he wasn't himself.
Okay, so it's a mental state thing, I guess, instead of just a physical state thing. I guess that's true because when what was Ember's? Oh, when Cinder was trying to get past the like security guard, she went into she got angry, and that's why she turned into the fire fucking tornado. But like, all right, so it's probably just a state of mind thing. So I was like, except for the earth people, are they supposed to be mostly earth or supposed to be like wood? Because the consistency of the earth people was never consistent. All right, are they mud people? Are they rock people? Are they tree people? It's a bit like inconsistent. Because if it's like the tree people and the fire people eat like hot logs, does that mean they're eating the tree? We're gonna get into like weird details now because it's gonna be a thing.
Don't think about it too hard. But I was gonna say about the bodies though is, I think you kind of made the point self, Alec, when you were like, but if you can be any physique, then why does it matter? And that's literally the point, because I think everybody is just what they are and they're shaped how they're shaped. And in a world where there is no body shaming and everyone's very accepting of their figures, he's like, oh, this isn't what I usually look like. And he has no reason to want to be jacked because it doesn't matter where he's from. So he's just like, let me go back to what I am normally.
But he has no reason to be jacked anyway. He went through a pipe. That makes him jacked.
Yeah, that's true.
And
but then
I didn't understand why Ember then went, oh wow. And it was like, why are you impressed by that if you can all change your shape at will?
Because she's just seen someone really physically huge and big. Like,
and she doesn't have much interaction with water people anyway, so she wouldn't. Yeah, that would be kind of
that
to her. It's like this teenage, how the next be. But he's not familiar with her.
Well, it's
quite meek.
It's sort of like why when he says, "Wow, you're really hot," he's like, "Excuse me," and I'm like, that should surely be like a neutral term for you. And he's like, "No, I meant smoking." And it's like we know that muscular people are hot, and we know that hot is a way to say someone is like sexually attractive, and we can say smoking is also that. But if you have like a society where some people are made up out of fire, does hot what does hot still mean sexy, or does it mean, is it like just a neutral descriptive term?
I thought it was more like a slur, the way I heard it, the way it sounded like.
Yeah, that's how I heard it. Like there's
Wow.
like if someone was like, if I had my natural hair out and someone was like, oh wow, your hair's so fluffy, and it's like, okay, yes, my hair is fluffy, but for you to say it in that way is like, that's how I took it.
Oh,
because like it's
on the terms of like it's still kind of like a generic term for attractive, but in that world, it's there's more baggage behind it.
The reason I say as well, because when Ember meets Gale, she calls what does she call it? Oh, she calls Gale an airbag, but then Gale calls a cow puff or something like that. Then then Gale calls Ember like a fireball. I was like, I'm pretty sure they were like, they were using slurs, but they didn't really. It wasn't like it was a bit like. I'm pretty sure they just got away with it a little bit because they were generally, they got okay friendly terms afterwards, but I was like, I don't know how to describe it rather just without it being like basically go, is it kind of racist? Maybe, but if they're racist to each other, it's okay, or they're friendly with it. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works.
I think it gets really awkward when it's like somebody like Wade, who is part of the population that is like the more privileged, for him to comment on Ember being hot and like her people are the one that are not as privileged, and he's like actively pointing out the like singular difference between them, and I just think it's awkward when it's him pointing that out on her. I think that's touchy.
Yeah, probably yeah.
It almost felt like it had, because as you say, Alex, being smoking and being hot, while they're terms for someone being sexually attractive, but also it's describing her because she is made of fire. I also kind of took it as like, you're pretty for a black girl kind of comment, where it's like, you could let me know that you find me attractive without bringing attention to a specific trait of mine that is discriminated against.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just one of those things that's like, it grates on the people who it grates on for reasons you cannot quite put your finger on, and it just kind of is what it is.
I think that's it. I think the reading of this film and some of the things that you'll take away from this film are going to be very different depending on your own lived experiences and so on. Like, I think that's just it, and I think that's part of the film, right? Actually, Wade doesn't understand a lot of the issues or challenges or things that frustrates Ember, because he doesn't have that lived experience. And I think as an audience member, if you also don't, you are going to read particular things and maybe have one perspective, which actually somebody from a, I don't know, marginalised community, ethnic minority background, whatever, might go, oh, actually, yeah, I get what that is. Like, in the same way that you spot a microaggression from a mile away, and somebody who maybe doesn't experience that on a day-to-day basis is less likely to. I just think that's kind of probably where certain people pick up certain things, because certain situations will resonate with them, or certain expressions maybe, or you recognise the intention behind certain words or phrases in the film that maybe somebody who doesn't have that experience wouldn't, and I think that's just probably important to have pointed out. Yeah,
well said.
Yeah, I think what's quite interesting is that the director Peter Son, I think his name is, he the way he pitched this film is that literally obviously it is an analogy to New York and all the big cities of the world, because it's such a cosmopolitan city. There's so many melting pot of different cultures and types of people of all races and everything you can imagine. It's very kind of mixed. However, his point was that when he made this film is that they're still tailored and catered to a certain demographic. And in this universe of Elemental, like the water people, water is literally over 60% of the world as we know it. And in Elemental, it's exactly the same. It's like the majority of this planet is made of water. So they are the majority, and they're the privileged, and they're the ones that have, like, everything's catered to them. Everything's made in their kind of like convenience, and they're kind of like, it's easy for them to get around because they are the majority and they kind of like rule the roost kind of sense. And then like Ember's family, the fire people, kind of they're the minority, and they're coming into this city that's kind of not quite tailored to them. It's trying its best to be tailored to all creeds and cultures, but in this case it's not quite. There are some things that kind of are a bit of a dissonance, and a few things that kind of aren't quite as easy for them to get around as, you know, like when the subway train goes over them, they kind of water everywhere and there's all that stuff like that, and how it's just difficult for them to get from A to B because of this, and the whole sequence of like the flower in the museum, just all those bits like that is just taken to be like, yeah, water kind of like is the main element of this city, and it will always be that case, well, maybe. And they just have to kind of like walk around it and kind of live amongst it, even if it isn't quite as fair as that it should be. It's still that they have to be like in this our world as we know it is just like there's certain races and basically some people that kind of like you have it easy, and they just have to kind of like figure out how to kind of get by without either affecting the status quo a bit. And it's such a shame. And I suppose this film was a critique of that. It was just like, yeah, water is the main element. This is the way it is, but the fact that cities like Elemental City kind of like were just more inclusive and more open and embracing all these different cultures around the world is a good like thing that all cultures and all cities and all kind of like big places should kind of take note of. And and start the language barrier and certain phrases and things like that are quite triggering for people, and it's kind of hard to get over that. But the fact that these people have to kind of like this kind of disagree and are confronted by it quite frequently just shows you that it is a difficult thing for someone like Ember's character to kind of like get through, because she's living in this place that's kind of not really tailored to her family or who she is, but she's trying her best to get by. But Wade, as an innocent soul he is, he's trying his best to kind of like be hospitable with it all. But even if unintentionally he might say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, he doesn't really mean it, but that's just the way he's kind of brought up in the world of privilege. Like you guys have said before, it's just like, he knows like a good life. He just has a great apartment, great family. He just had no issues growing up because the water people of Elemental City are all tailored to be water orientated. So it's just kind of like it's all on his benefit. He's not really suffering, or it's nothing he has to go through. Is a difficulty, whereas Ember and her family have to go through a lot of shit. So I feel like it's a lot of nuance there, and it's interesting to pick apart. And how we're talking about it now, it just shows you how much depth this film has, and just because of who made it and how they made it, and it's very, very interesting to me.
I mean, like, even Wade has his own, like, problems as well. It's like, as there was, like, that little backstory about him and his, like, old man, and he's like, yeah, we were, like, it was done for the joke of the pun, right? But it was like, yeah, we were, like, water and oil. But, like, in the more serious part of that, it's like, yeah, he does have, like, arguments with his family, and there's a bit more nuance than that. I wish they actually could have went into Wade's backstory a little bit more and see how he grew up. That would have been interesting as well. But I guess he wasn't the main point of the story. So it's like, So if they went back into his story just a little bit more, it would have added layers to his character. So which is like. It's unfortunate, but like it's fine. It's still fine. It's still good.
Yeah. As a side note, I was going to say this earlier when it's more relevant, but this is I think the second film from like Disney Pixar that has a different rating in Singapore. So, Lightyear was the first one that got was rated NC-16. It is the first like family animation related film that got that kind of adult rating over there. And for anyone who doesn't know, it was because it has a same sex, like two guys kissing in Lightyear, and that is Singapore that got it NC-16.
I think I've heard like stories about that, especially in Asia where they have the Disney Plus stuff, but they have some of the animated TV shows have same-sex couples. So like there's certain episodes that are quote unquote like shadow banned, or like there's like bits that are like heavily edited. So it's just like I remember watching, I think it was Our House. I've heard, and I was like, oh yeah, because her relationship with her develops into like an actual relationship, and it's like they've like snipped around it a bit, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh yeah, it's like that's unfortunate.
In this one, and maybe it's a combination of everything, but they felt it had mature themes. So this film, while it's PG everywhere in the world, in Singapore it's PG-13. So,
but also it's the first non-binary character in Pixar as well. I think the sister, Wade's sister. I think they introduced him as sister, but then use the pronouns they them. I'm sure,
exactly.
Wait,
that's another point to it, which probably didn't help the rating in Singapore.
Wait, I must have missed that, or that must have flew above my head. Are we talking about
one of Wade's sisters?
Well,
Wade's
if
like older
non-binary,
sister.
that would be a sibling, right? It wouldn't be a sister.
Yeah.
What was
it? Depends. Some people may use they them pronouns, but still call them their sister or brother.
What was the name of the character? Because
Lake. I think their name was Lake.
Lake. Okay, because I'm trying to think, because unfortunately, a lot of water-based pun names, right? And it just I can't, because I'm pretty sure like the kids were called Marco and Polo. That made me go.
Marco,
that made me.
Polo.
What?
that made me groan a little bit, right? Because like, okay,
I
yeah,
loved
sure, but I was like, it was like, yeah, but like I couldn't remember all their names. I think like one of them was called Hoover, like after Hoover Dam. But I was like, maybe I'm mixing it up a little bit. But like, it's just like all the names are too sometimes because they're too punny, and it becomes like a thing that I couldn't remember the name. I remember one of them was like the little kid is called Clod, and I'm like,
That's how I remember all the names because they're punny.
yeah, but like it was only to a certain point, right? But it was like I'm pretty sure I heard all of the other names, but I just couldn't remember like because the puns got too mixed up. And it was just like,
Literally didn't realize that like Wade is an actual name. Like I know I have a person in my family named Wade, so I literally only just realized it was a water pun just right now.
Yeah. Wade in the
In the
water.
water.
Wade in the water, children. Great trick.
I thought separate from the name, I thought the idea of like perceived threat I thought was quite interesting because I guess fire in the main city or kind of main world is obviously destructive to land, I guess, and water. But obviously water could in a way wipe out a whole very easily wipe out kind of the whole of the fire city or whatever it's called. I can't remember the area was called or and so on. But and obviously they built their home right on the edge of like a big area of water as well, right? And just kind of the risk of kind of setting up where you can just to kind of set up somewhere, I think was just something that was on my mind, that kind of they were seen as such a perceived threat, I guess, in comparison to all the other elements as well. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting as well because like even though there is Fire Town, because there is a station that is actually above the town and it actually goes into the city, you actually do see, maybe not like super like in the central part of the city near the town hall, but you do see some other fire elementals in like Elemental City. So it's like it's not like they don't integrate as at all. It's just like there's just like without it sounding like segregation too much, there are places that they stick to their own communities, but like there are places where they do intermingle, and obviously that's a good thing. And so it's like, but it's just like it's interesting to see how that progressed into the movie. Then afterwards, unfortunately, because of the destruction, they rebuilt it, and then after you see actually, in Firetown, there's actually a thing that was like, again, there's another stupid pun. It was like there was like a steam bath thing, and I just like, for cloud people, I can't remember what's after. There's lots of puns in this film, and I can't remember them all, but because they blend too well in, and it's like, because it's not just Firetown now, it's mixed with everyone else, and it's a whole different sort of community. Obviously there's like, because blending of cultures is quite an interesting thing anyway, but it does have its still distinctive of Firetown, which is a good thing, and it's like it's got its distinct characteristics, but it can blend with other stuff as well. So it's like, that's a good thing. But it's like, it's interesting to see that.
Yeah, it's just obviously hugely problematic that some areas are like literally hostile and dangerous for some people to go into. A lot of them. Yeah.
Should we
I
do favorite scenes? Sorry.
No, I realized you were actually talking about real life and not about the movie for a second, and that actually was that unfortunately blended too much as well. I realized it's that what you said actually could apply to both, but that's that was That was just me having a brain.
Do you know what? Like you're right. Like that's how we almost lost Wade. Like he was in a place that was way too hot, and he like vaporized and almost
So,
died.
yeah, that applied for both ways, and my brain just rewinded just a little bit, just go. I was like, oh wait, okay, yeah, but yeah, as you were saying, favorite scenes.
Oh, is it okay if I bring up one more point that I wanted to talk about before we move on to?
Yeah, just come.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
I really, really had a really good emotional impact from when Wade and Ember realized that they could touch safely, and that was amazingly touching. No pun intended. But what I like lacked some satisfaction in like how it was explained. Like there are obviously some ways where like their bodies can be dangerous to each other. Like we first see like if water spills on the fire people, then they partially go out, or they can go entirely out. But like I didn't really fully understand like how their touching was able to work, and then they explained it with like they like chemically changed each other or something, but I just didn't fully grasp that, and I wonder if anybody grasped that better than I did, or if it was just like a lacking in satisfaction explanation.
Yeah, there's two parts. Oh, sorry. Go on.
You go. You'll probably explain it better.
You explain first, and then I'll come afterwards.
In case I'm wrong, okay. I just assumed it was something along the lines of like he cools her down enough to a point that she doesn't then like overboil or vaporize him like boiling point of water, kind of like the cooling down, and that's all I kind of took it out. Like they found a balance with each other because they're able to kind of like reach that midpoint. That was my understanding of it. Yeah.
He cooled down and she cooled. Well, one of them. They both kind of worked together in unison. To kind of like she cooled down a bit and he warmed up a bit. Kind of like once they're at the main optimum temperature, they kind of matched it exactly, and then they kind of like equal.
They kind of found their optimum to kind of like be able to make it work. So they could make it work, but they just needed to like balance each other out in order to do so successfully. What's the matter?
That's very like us.
Oh dear, very like us. Yeah.
Nice. Hey, yeah, just to add to that, because that's correct. It's kind of based off of the.
Thank you, Professor Emmanuel.
You're welcome. It's kind of based off of the scientific effect that Leidenfrost effect. Leidenfrost. It sounds like it's German. It is, yeah. I'm saying it. Leidenfrost.
Leidenfrost.
I struggle without saying it without my brain. Anyway.
Without my brain.
No, she always corrects me when my brain starts to try and say something like it is in that language rather than in just from English, because my brain doesn't. Anyway. But when a super hot surface touches a liquid. Anyway, yeah, when a super hot surface touches a liquid, it instantly creates an insulating layer of vapor, which then prevents any further evaporation, at least temporarily anyway. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening in a way, even though it's like, yeah, so they're referring to the kind of like that side of chemistry, but also inside as well as they've kind of changed each other because they thought it wasn't possible. It is all those kind of not stereotypes. You have stereotypes, but also what's that? Perceptions. I think it's that misconceptions and whatnot. So, but yeah, that's just to add to what you guys were already saying. Science.
Okay. If it was like, if it was science, I wish the movie explained that a little bit more, because that would have been really fascinating, interesting to me, and then have like a basis in reality, like the reality that we live in. I think that would have been really cool. So I just wish they explained that a bit more.
Yeah, they could have done that when he said about the chemically sorting each other out, whatever.
Yeah.
No, hey.
We chemically sorted each other out. Woo.
All right, thanks. Cool.
Favorite scenes? Anybody want to kick us off?
Oh,
Mine
It's
is
the big bow for me.
What was
what
that?
was that?
the big what?
It's the big bow at the end. Between
Oh, the bow.
Bernie and Ember. That was
Yeah.
Yeah.
love that one.
I thought you like the big bail bun or something. I was like, what?
No.
Yeah,
Mine is when they.
that was great. Sorry. What were you saying, man?
No, it's alright. I was
It's an
just going to
orderly
say.
fashion. Come on.
One of mine is when they go to see the Vivistera. And while I love the Vivistera, and that's ridiculously beautiful, we've already mentioned it, but when they walk through the fence and like he takes his t-shirt off and then like it drops back on him, like on the other side, and she just goes right through the eye, and then they're like, why do we even have this? I was just like, you know what? I really appreciate that little bit of
Yeah,
It's
damn it, I was going to say
like-
that one.
the world that you live in isn't even constructed to make sense in the world that you live in.
Yeah.
I just love that little bit of humor. But a lot of this film is my favorite scene, honestly.
I feel really bad because I hate both of them. I was really annoyed, just like, why do we have these? And I'm like, yeah, why do you? Why do you? Go on, fucking tell me.
That's
Yeah.
why it's funny
True,
because they point it out. If they didn't point it out, then it would be a plot hole and it would be a contrivance, as you say. But the fact that they do makes it funny because it is a part of the plot and part of the joke. You just kind of like, yeah, this is dumb. Why are we?
Yeah, you know what? I would argue with that, but I have my my main gripe with the Vivisteria bit is all of it. I was really annoyed with just the idea that Gale's gone like, yeah, you can last 20 minutes in this fucking bubble, and I was like, do you even want to ask how fucking Gale came up with that figure? You know, just seeing as how
Yeah.
I was just like, she's surely burning through that air a lot faster than anyone is calculating. But it was also what irritated me was they did the whole thing of like being under the tree sort of thing and like her shining the light and all that. And then he's like, ah shit, you're running out of air. And then there happens to be like a direct route from the main terminal out to the bridge, and I was just like, you work in the council, you don't have any kind of schematics where you could have gone, oh actually, you know what, you don't even need that. Why you didn't go out and just check this out ahead of time, just go like, oh actually, there is a direct route straight down here, so we could actually have more time with the Vivisteria, and I wouldn't have to waste time trying to find it. If I just as a water person went and checked
I
this
think he
out.
was wasting time trying to find it. I think he was pointing out different parts to it because he pointed out like the train, like something that was
The main terminal sign.
No, it was something underneath the water, and then like pointed it out as he was kind of like going to the Visteria. I don't think it was just him just dilly dallying because he couldn't find the route. I thought it was that he was actually showing her what was under there, but that just might be me.
Oh, I don't know why she'd give a shit about the main terminal, but that was just kind of like, if you're going to show the Vivisteria and you've got a fire person in an air bubble, and I'm like, you don't really have time to fuck about, really. Like, and you've got a direct route in and out. So, like, if you found the direct route in and out, I don't know why you've not done that. I don't know why we've started all the way over here. But like, that's
What I really didn't like is the risk involved. Like, it was a beautiful, wonderful moment. I loved how Wade wanted to show her something that was really painfully held from her before. That was really sweet. But the risk of like her, like, she could have died. I'm just like, dang. But in terms of like Gale guessing how much air she had, I would have thought that like somebody who's like made of air would have a good solid guess of like how much air somebody would have in that bubble she just made.
well, interestingly, I don't think Gale makes a correct prediction at any point, because she also goes tempered glass, like solid rock, and I was just like, and I googled it and I was like, is tempered glass as solid as a rock? And the AI went, no.
Yeah.
But then it was like, it doesn't last 12 hours. It doesn't last 12 hours where it starts cracking again.
Yeah, I understand why she would know about as much about glass, but when it comes to air, and like we can't say exactly how long her air lasted because we don't necessarily see that scene play out in real time. So We don't know how exactly.
Yeah, I was just like, if you don't have much experience with fire people, you haven't, and you've never done. Why would you have had any like a reason to do any of this? Like, you have no idea how long this is going to last. Really, like she's going to be burning through all the air pretty quick,
Yeah.
I'd imagine. But
Also, just trying to do nice things. Ember's choice if she wants to go in or not. You could do nice things for people. It's their choice. Their choice.
yeah, it's a nice choice that's going to probably kill her. that's fine.
I disagree.
It's really pretty.
What?
Was-
Camilla says it's really pretty. I was.
It was
gonna
really
s-
pretty. I'll grant you that.
Yeah, I forgot already. I was gonna say, I wonder about the fence. I wonder if the Earth people made it
So
because
there's
of,
more racism going on.
because I was just thinking, oh wait, if they made it, because there was a lot of kind of like plants and earthy things in there. What if they made it because they were like, oh, this is what we usually do, and this actually does stop our people from coming in, but they didn't think about any other element when they built it. So it's just like, why is this here? You weren't thought of when they made this.
Yes, that is a very like real world big problem where like some things are not made for other people.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ignorance and stupidity when they make something. It's like, yeah, why didn't you think that someone could like get over this fence somehow? And it's
While
like, yeah,
we're on
that's quite clear in this day.
While we're on that subject, I did actually want to. I did want to bring up. I'm not sure. This is probably going to be controversial, but I didn't really think the whole didn't get to see the Vivisteria thing was that well done. It was. I think it. Like I said, it's going to get me in trouble, but like it really reminded me of the Edward Scissorhands thing, where I was like, they were kind of doing the thing of like, no fire people allowed in here, and they're all going like, that's unbelievable. And I was like, it is an arbitorium, to be fair, and they are made of fire. And I'm just saying, if it's sort of built up, you know, we don't ever see, well, we don't really see the inside of it necessarily, other than when it's underwater. But I was like, if it's kind of spaced out like Fern Grouchwood's office, you probably don't want the fire people in there. Like if it's spaced out, then that's one thing. But if it looks like the inside of a jungle, I'm like, ugh, and I'm like the point of the point of the racism is to exclude them from somewhere unreasonable. Whereas in the Arbitorium, I'm like, you probably can do a bit of damage here, like just by walking around.
I get what
you can survive in any element. That's the problem.
That's the
Yeah, but there's
problem.
other plants. There's other plants other than Vivisteria.
That's a problem. They've created a place that was not created with everybody's accessibility in mind. Like that's the problem. And so that's the problem. And them being like they could have had everybody's accessibility in mind when making that display. So that's the problem.
Yeah, that was on the people that made the display.
Yeah, it was there. It was there before them, so like, yeah, they do have to make renovations to it and that, and there is the security guard who's using it as an excuse to be racist and everything. So I'm like, yeah, fine, but like, if you, I don't know, if it wasn't built up and you know it is an arbitorium, I'm like, well, you probably can't really go in there that easily. To be fair.
We should have a negative view on that. Like, I think I don't understand what you're trying to get at. Really,
I think I got generally what Alec is getting at. Admittedly speaking, because it is an arbitorium and it is flammable, but they had purposely done a renovation for a thing that is supposed to be suitable for all elements. They literally could have put us like. It's kind of like saying, this is accessible for everyone, unless you're in a wheelchair, because we have no ramps. They could have, like, done a thing where they could have had an access for them. I mean, like, I kind of understand, like, if, like, it was, like, a fresh like built thing. But no, this was like a thing that was literally built to be acceptable for everyone except you. Essentially, what happened, and that's like, yeah, obviously that's racist. So it's
I got a sense it was there before them, and like the fire people aren't necessarily that prevalent in the society yet. So like, I get what you're saying, but
yeah, that's no, but you've literally hit it on the head.
With Simon Day, it's like saying that someone who's in a wheelchair shouldn't expect to go to a library with loads of stairs, and it's like, but the library could cater to them as well.
Yeah, I'm not saying they can't cater to them, but I'm also like,
in the first place doesn't mean that they can't adapt it to make it suitable for the disabled people that arrive 10 years later after it's been built.
Yeah, but it did remind me of when we put Edward Scissorhands. Let's put him on the waterbed. It was sort of like they can actually cause damage in here. So like, I'm not saying they shouldn't, because they should have made it accessible instead of turning them away. But it is also like I feel like the Arbitorium maybe should have been something different, where like it's not reasonable for them to be excluded. Like, I don't know.
I understand the point you're getting, but it is still a thing where they literally had signs that says "live everywhere for everyone." I'm pretty sure they had. I'm pretty sure it was about. I'm pretty sure like that was the theme of like the Vivisteria flower as well. It's for everyone.
Yeah, it's just it's not the only flower in the building, so it's like it's very well that functions with fire, but like there's got to be other plants in there, surely.
It's sounding like the main reason she was so excited to see that particular flower is because it could thrive in literally any environment, including fire. That was particularly special, and that exhibition in the movie said that it was accessible to everyone, and that turned out to be a lie, and they were very rudely excluded. And I don't.
Did they have a sign that said "No fire" as well?
Like you're siding with them, excluding them.
Yeah.
It sounds right.
They had a sign as well, yeah.
But it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah, so I'm not siding with anyone. I'm just saying there's got to be other plants in there apart from the Vivisteria where they would damage it if they weren't watching where they were going, or they went like accidentally. Like,
But we don't know that, so I don't think that matters. I think what we know is that the plant that is in there is one that thrives in any environment, and therefore, if it's in there, she should have been allowed to go and see it with her father.
Yeah, if going to go and see it, there's a load of foliage in the way. Like we never see the inside of it, so we don't know.
It's presented as just the Vivisterian. That's the whole thing. Nothing else. It's just that the plant itself is just the main event. Everyone wants to go see that.
There's multiple rooms, and it's all the same plant.
But
But if
also,
it's just in the same room with everything else,
I just feel like there's not enough in the film to make a judgment on that, because at the end of the day, it's a world where they have figured out a way for fire people to be able to walk down the street and use public surfaces and so on and so on. That it's like, if you're going to be designing an exhibition or designing a thing that the public are going to pay and come to, then if you can manage to cater for me outside and put the appropriate precautions in place, then those precautions should also be in place where you are. But also, I wonder if it wasn't made known that fire people weren't allowed in, because otherwise, why would, like, you wouldn't go if you knew they're not going to let you in. And when you get there, then there's a sign on the door saying no fire people. That was clearly the first of them hearing about it, which is more of the reason why it felt so embarrassing and so upsetting, and it felt so racially motivated. Because if I had known that, you know, due to the limitations of the building, this isn't going to be accessible for me, then I wouldn't have even turned up. They showed up expecting to be able to have the same amount of access as all the rest of the people in the town they live in.
And also that card did help as well. Oh, sorry, go, Rachel.
No, just quickly, I was just gonna say, but also that like it's for everyone. I guess shows again how marginalised or like excluded they are from society because it's not everyone, and no one's kind of acknowledged the fact that actually there are also a whole group of people that are excluded from this. That kind of like false advertising is also probably more kind of catastrophic, I guess,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause you're kind of
Yeah,
dehuman.
yeah, and like it didn't help. Oh, I was gonna say just like one more thing. It's like it didn't help that the guard himself afterwards was very much like go back to your own damn fire country as well, and it was just like, oh yeah, that's like there's layers to it. I understand because like real like physics about the fire and the woods and all that other stuff. I understand what you're trying to say, Alec, because actual fire and actual wood, but fire burnt wood. But I guess it's the allegory for like what movie is that changes the actual concepts of what you should take from the elements themselves. So it's like I get what you're trying to say, Alec. I absolutely try. I said fire plus wood is not so good, but it's like, but in the design of the whole universe of the whole movie universe in itself, they should have thought about that way beforehand, and that's like it's kind of like they had the building. They could have cut some of the foliage for this event, but they didn't do anything, and it just decided, fuck a fire, people. That's essentially what happened. That's how you should think of it.
That's entirely it. Yeah, because they've kind of gone. The solution to this problem is we exclude the fire people, rather than the solution to this problem is we make this accessible to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we finish favourite scenes?
No, I was gonna say my favorite scene is, or the scene that moved me the most, is the bow scene as well. Also, I think the first time I saw it, for both of us, to be honest, the scene where Wade obviously is considered dead.
Yeah,
And
that's where I saw it the very first time.
yeah, of course, that's a great moving scene. And in general, as just like special mentions, I like the moments throughout the film when Amber shows how creative she is, like how great her creativity is, and just being able to do that on the spot. Like the moment where she fixes the jug, it makes it into this amazing design, and she's just doing that on the fly, and that's intuitive. That's stuff she's kind of done herself growing up, and that's just one of her talents. When she made the Vivisteria flower in like the melted sand, she's never really, or as far as we know, she's not really necessarily interacted with melted sand into glass before, or not really thought too much of it. But then she's just like, oh, I think I could do this. It's like, yeah. And then that immediately leads to her thinking, wait, I think I could stop the glass or stop the water. Or when she makes a hot air balloon out of different materials. It's just really nice seeing that side of her talents, which she doesn't even really recognize until Wade's mom is like, wait, you can do, you need to get into this. Like that talent is awesome, obviously without understanding her situation. But it's like, yeah, I do like that.
That was kind of that was that, I think, but for very similar reasons. Obviously, I'm sure the bow is probably popular for lots of people, but I think it's like that expectation, isn't it, from families that you'll maybe kind of follow in their footsteps, or you look after the family business, or you'll kind of do, I don't know, law or be a doctor, whatever it might be. So I think to kind of have her show the respect to her dad by giving the bow, but also her dad to give her that respect back, was when I started crying, quite blubbering on the sofa, because I think it's just like that kind of recognition, respect, humility, all those kind of things. And I think yeah, just pretty. I think that moment, just a very kind of moment. And I think yeah, especially where I said a bit about how what my dad is like, I think kind of yeah, it really did kind of resonate with me. But I also kind of like that. I found it kind of she's her endearing in the sense that she still kind of lacks that self belief, that kind of imposter syndrome, and she's doing so kind of different from maybe what she's expected to do. And she still doesn't quite believe in herself. She's like, "Oh, I'll be back like in a few months and stuff like that. I'm probably not gonna be there very long," and just that kind of like
Yeah, you do.
that kind of well, yeah, but that I just mean in the sense that like her, it's so far away probably from what she ever dreamed she could be doing. That she just doesn't quite fully believe that she can do it, despite kind of what she's been able to show. So I thought that was quite like a when you're breaking so far away from maybe what's expected of you, that kind of lack of confidence I thought was kind of I guess what you see kind of relatable, what you see other people kind of experience, all that kind of stuff as well. So that kind of final scene was my favourite. I'm glad they added that in at the end. I thought that was actually quite quite important, that kind of end a few months later as well. Yeah, that's my favourite scene.
I think mine was probably the one where Ember tells her dad that she doesn't want to take over the shop. And that was the first bit that I cried at, is when her dad's like, "Oh, the shop was never the dream, you were always the dream." Yeah.
That was great. Yeah, there was a lot of really touching moments in this movie, and I related. I said before that I related really very much to Wade. I have cried for every emotion on the spectrum, and so what really made me laugh was when, and unfortunately I can't remember what they were looking at, but it was something beautiful, and Ember was like. And Wade was starting to tear up, and Ember was like, "Are you crying?" And he was like, "I've never been punched in the face by beauty before."
I love that line.
And I think I've said something like very similar before, and it was just really relatable. Like a lot of this movie made me laugh. I think I might have written something else down, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah. You guys have touched on many of my favorite bits, like obviously the beach scene of Wade and Ember, where she makes like the Visterion in the glass from the sand. I think Emmanuel mentioned was certainly a really poignant moment for me. And obviously after the Wade takes her to see it for real, and the sequence literally after she escapes and literally breathes after just being out of breath for so long because of the almost near death, and he's like, he thinks she's going to be upset and mad, but she's like, "That's the greatest day of my life," kind of thing. That moment is great, and the fact that they touched hands just after that just is so emotional. That part just hit me well. And even the bit where they're like, they have that little silly parlor game at Wade's family's house, his mom's house, their flat, I should say, their apartment, and they're going about, we need to this game where we just talk about the saddest thing, the most emotional thing that we can think of, and whoever cries first loses, kind of thing, and just the way that the most mundane stuff is just setting them off, and Ember's just like stoic the whole time, and then there's that moment where Wade figures out what can trigger her to cry for the first time in so many years, if ever, and she actually does, and he's just like, that moment was great. I can't remember what he said exactly, but it was just lovely.
He talked about how she made him feel, like how he basically really wanted to spend, like he couldn't be without her light. It was that kind of thing.
There we go. That was it.
Sweet.
and how it came full circle right at the end when they're bringing Wade back to life. That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
that was great. The way the mom was just like, you just say something to make the fire guy cry.
It's the way I love the way that the dad like stands there and his hand just kind of awkwardly twitches. I'm like, that is the most dad thing. It's like, what is going on? Why do you all know something that I don't seem to know?
Oh yeah, that's great. I also
when the dad wanted to try to make him cry, was like, "You are no longer panned from the store."
Bags.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. It's at the point Ember's dad was always getting the words wrong. Obviously, English wasn't his first language, and it was quite endearing and cute to see him just mess up these random things that were just like obvious what he would say. Something about he's put his foot in it, and it's like, no, you mean he put his mouth in it or something like that, or one of something like that. Do you know what I mean? And he kept getting it wrong. Yeah, he's lying through his feet. No, he's lying through his teeth. That's it. Yeah, and just a little bits where his dad was just trying his best to, but he kept getting it wrong, and because of his frustration, just kind of like But at the end of the day, he always spoke for Ember, and he was always there for her, and it was so heartwarming to see. Obviously, Alec mentioned, I think but the way they bow at the end, and just when they leave on the ship to go make a new life for themselves, it was really really sweet.
That bit with where he messed up like teeth and feet, like it really reminded me of just after uni. I was doing like these like English as a foreign language things. So it was like I'd go to the library and basically like help people learn English. And there was this one guy who always used to mess things up like that. And he had to like do some kind of like verbal test, so we were practicing, and I got him to like say a phrase, and he was like, "Oh, my house has a wonderfully large chicken," and I was like, "No, it's a kitchen."
Yeah. Amazed how many people say chicken instead of kitchen.
I liked I have another fancy, but also have an honourable moment when Wade, when they were dancing and like Wade was doing like these like belly ripples with like his stomach and the wherever. That really reminded me of you, because that's not really had too much to drink. That's kind of but I also like the scene where the mum is doing the like the candle test or whatever, the love.
The incense.
And just how like she's adamant that he can't be her love because it won't work, and then he kind of like manages to use Ember to kind of create the steam, I guess, or vapor, whatever, to light the candle. I thought that was really nice to kind of show, I guess, like actually to prove the mum wrong, but also that determination, that his conviction in his own feelings to kind of be that true love for her. I thought was really nice.
I was really curious about that.
Oh, what were you curious about?
No, just that he's not lighting anything. He's using her light, so she's just lighting the same, well, the two sticks twice. So I just thought I thought the implication is that she's a bit of a narcissist.
It's very interesting about this, because the incense scene was actually my favourite scene, mainly because of how it works in especially like couple fortune telling, I guess is the best way to describe it, because it's either incense or candles, and it has to have the right sort of incense and the right sort of candles to burn together and the right sort of way for it to smoke together. So it's less like cool. It's without making it sound a bit weird. It's a lot about it is being fate, and a lot about it being like more like less than fate, more like a coincidence. It's a question of like it's a question of which incense did she use to burn so they can perfectly match, or which candles you would use to burn so their smoke will perfectly match. It's like out of all the candles, out of all the incense they burn, that's like they actually match quite well. So it was about it was about it burning, because like typically if it was like for relationships, you just, I mean, if they were both fire people, it would have worked either way. Or heck, if they were not fire people and they were just water people and they just had lighters and they burned it, it would still burn the same way. But it's a question of like coincidence that they had perfectly good and compatible incense sticks to burn, and it smoked the right way. And it's, I mean, like fortune teller wise, it's one of those things that are kind of silly anyway, because like she throws water at the fire people in the first place, and it's like to bring like the love to the surface. But it's great because like I'm pretty sure she threw lemongrass at him, because like he gets the water thrown in his face and he goes, actually this is actually quite a nice taste. I was like, oh, I think I'm pretty sure that's like lemongrass water. That's how it works. Because so it's like is it a matter about how they burned it? No, it's the fact that they had incense to burn that was compatible. Because if it wasn't compatible, or like coincidence, or it didn't burn the same way, she could have just said, look, even if he borrowed your light to burn this incense, it didn't burn the correct way, and it went off into a different sort of smoke, so it doesn't count. So you see, you're not a good match. So it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. It just happens to have the right. It's like for candles, you have to have the right sort of wick, right sort of wax. It matches together, and it's just like it's very fortune tellery, but it's like, yeah, that's kind of like what the point of that story is. It's just like fortune telling. They actually match very well. So yeah, that works.
I get how it's like it's essentially her saying fire lighting both incense, but what I took away from it was how much effort he put and thought and he put into being able to light the ember, he used her flame, but like she wasn't doing anything. She was just standing there, and he was able to direct it all by himself. I just thought it was really cool and unpredictable. I didn't think that I thought he wasn't like, I was like, how in the heck is he gonna be able to light that by himself? And he figured out a way, and I just thought that was really cool how he like bridged something between them. Like he like combined himself with her to light it. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I was just confused on the mechanics of it, because if you both got to light it, but it was her light for both of them.
But like,
it's not the lighting though.
I don't even think it's that, because it's like it's a superstition, isn't it? Like I don't think it's.
Oh yeah.
I think the important thing was that he figured out a way to do it rather than it was the flame that was his. Like,
it's the intention.
Which goes back into what I was saying. It had to be a good like coincidence that their incense and like candles like burnt in the perfect way for them to be a perfect match. So it's like, all right, even if he wasn't. If he was a fire person, it would work that way. If he wasn't a fire person, it would work. Again, it was very much coincidence in its own way, but it's like, oh yeah, but that's what we go with fate, quote unquote. Actually, there was the idea. This is a little side tangent. This was like a favorite. This was another favorite scene of mine, but like for the wrong reasons. I watched Elemental first in Cantonese, mainly because my mom wanted to watch it and I had to watch it with her. The crying game, what they described in English is definitely not what they described in Cantonese. Mainly because it was like, because I had to pause. I go, wait, what did they say in this language? And then what did they say in this other language? So, in English, it's butterfly, windscreen, half butterfly, and it makes you cry. And it's like, okay, that's okay, sure. In Cantonese, the story is, this is going to sound really bad, right? But its story is a family of kittens crossing the road. Only one kitten crosses the road. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? It's like, holy shit, that's way worse. Because like, yeah, it's like it's a family Christmas crossing road, and one kid makes it across, and it was just like,
Yeah.
man, that's actually sad. But like, the butterfly thing was like, yeah, the it was like not bad. The butterfly thing is just it's nonsense. The kitten thing was actually sad, but I was like, is there like because obviously because I know Cantonese and I understand like what they said. I'm just worried like if I knew Spanish or like any of like the other languages, because this is one of the movies that are actually dubbed in quite a lot of languages as well. If I could understand them all, I just want to hear the like colloquial differences that they all have. I don't know if all of their sad stories would be the butterfly story, the kitten story, or something else entirely. It would be like, language barriers are very interesting. I just want to hear what possible sad stories they would have, or if there's any more messed up.
I think the butterfly story was able to be funny to me because it was a little sad, but it's not something I would sob over. Like I thought it was funny how sad he was. I thought that was precious. But like if that line would have been the kitten line, I mean like, oh, like you said, like damn, that's actually really horribly sad, and I wouldn't be able to laugh at all.
Yeah.
It's a very, I think it's a very like gap mode juxtaposition of like it was like the kid story is kind of actually sad, but the butterfly story is like, who cares? It's a butterfly. I mean, to the point of like it's yeah, sure. I mean, like I mean, like there's levels to it, but it's just like I kind of wanna. I need to learn more languages just to hear Disney in like different languages, just to see if it's more sad or more interesting in other languages.
I don't know if it's like from a different language or whatever, but there's a famous one that's similar to that, but well, by comparison, it's a bit brutal, I suppose. But it's kind of like you usually see it visually, like it's in the form of like an advert in a shop window, and it says infant shoes for sale, never worn.
Oh right, yeah, that's the saddest short story ever written, right? It's like a
Yeah, I missed it. What was it? I didn't hear what.
It's infant shoes for sale, never worn.
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah, the saddest story in 6 words. Yeah, I think that's literally what it's called.
Man.
Yeah, it's
shoes. Oh, shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying infantry, like like the army
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's
that
Very
works.
different.
That works, but it's not like yeah. It's not as sad as the infant shoes. No one. I was like, yeah, that's saddest short story ever. 6 words.
Yeah.
Or it's a story about a baby that was unexpectedly big.
Sure. Any case.
Before you had mentioned that, before when you was talking about mixing up different words and languages, I was thinking about myself in like 2 other languages. And I was thinking about in Japanese, it's very easy to mix up feet and chopsticks. Simon knows. Like the pronunciations, they're just like one letter apart. It's like ashi, hashi. It's just like there's like is it can I have because you could be like in a restaurant, be like, oh, can I have some feet, please? And it's like, what?
Quentin
Are you
Tarantino
okay?
and must be like, man, you must have known I was coming.
Oh man.
But this
Oh,
is what
guys.
happened. We noticed some of us noticed the the Ghibli. What was the Ghibli film we recently watched?
Oh,
Yeah.
Kiki's delivery service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
there were
noticed
differences.
I had the English dubs on, but I also had the captions on, and the captions showed the like Japanese. Like, yeah, it was different. It showed 2 different lines sometimes. I'm like, what? I did not think of that happening. So
Yeah. And I was gonna say another one for this is Mandarin rather than Cantonese. I wonder if there's probably a equivalent in Cantonese as well. You could say Simon, but I was thinking of the famous one of sleeping dumplings. Like go at maybe you don't know of this, but it's just like a famous example of like going to a restaurant and saying, can I have some dumplings, please? But you end up saying, can I have some sleep, please, to the waitress because of how similar the tones are. And if you're a beginner, it's just an easy mistake to make if with some of the kind of things. So it's like, oh yeah, get that. Oh,
Oh yeah.
who did we lose? Oh,
Alex.
Alex.
Oh, I thought Pat left for a second. I was like, oh, because he wasn't speaking for.
Pat did say he was tired. I don't know if Pat's there. Pat, did you want to? Are you there?
Is he there?
Patrick.
I don't think he said a favorite scene, did he?
No, you yeah.
No, Pat's there. He's like,
Okay.
oh, my favourite scene is the explosion. Yeah, good one, Pat.
Okay.
Alec didn't do a favourite scene, but who knows?
Well, yeah, Alex
Oh,
hoping
he
was the
did.
bell, right? Yeah, he
Yeah,
he
the
said,
bow.
yeah,
The
the
bell
bell
was
was
the only one because
So
it was the
Which is-
best scene.
Favourite scene.
which
then?
is,
I have a scene that made me laugh, but I don't know if I fully understood it. So it was when Ember and Wade were Ember had made that really awesome hot air balloon. I thought that was wicked cool. And they're floating around and they happen to look into an apartment building of a couple of trees. And
That was great.
and the trees
Oh, they were
were
just
like,
pruning.
yeah, and like I don't get like I think there was some sort of subtext there with the like pulling each other's apples off, but I didn't fully
Yeah.
understand. So
They,
like
it's like imagine you're looking into someone's window and there's a couple. They're getting frisky, and they don't.
Oh, we're just wrestling or something like that.
Yeah, we're just wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, we're just pruning each other.
they literally said like nothing weird going on here.
a little bit of pruning, yeah.
Yeah, we're just pruning.
Sure, you were.
Yeah,
Wade
it's
made a
pruning
funny
me.
Wade made a funny joke, like he was trying to ask out Ember, and he's like, "I promise nothing funny will go on. Like maybe a little pruning later, but."
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it extra funny because he knows that, like, yeah, pruning, sure. That's why they looked at each other afterwards and like just started cracking up. It was great.
Oh man. Yeah. That was great.
Oh, actually, I realised what the time is now. That's probably why you had to leave as well. All right.
He was going.
Okay. I think I might
We go
have to leave now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Peace.
Huh?
final comments about Elemental before we move on
Oh,
to
I thought we
Manuel.
were going to say bye.
Yeah. No, we still have to announce the film.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, before that, just a kind of few kind of
To get to Buffett.
fun facts. The actor for Wade kept being, or the voice actor for Wade kept being mistaken for a different one in Wreck-It Ralph. I forgot which character, but the voice actor kept having to tell people, "No, I did not act in Elemental. It's not me. It's
Oh,
someone else."
Michael C. Riley.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've got very similar. It's interesting that the only actor I recognised was Catherine O'Hara. Was the only one. Was the
Yeah.
only name
Yeah.
as the windy lady. What's her name? Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Storm Girl. She's the
Yeah.
only one I was like, oh, I know that name, and that's the rest of everyone. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Oh, she was Gail. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. Oh, Who voiced Ember? She sounded familiar.
I don't know her at all.
Oh,
If
cool.
maybe
Yeah,
I do, but I don't know her name.
Leona Lewis, but that was
She's
no, it's
not a
not Leona Lewis.
well-known.
Leah Lewis, I think, not Leona Lewis. Leah Lewis.
Leona Lewis, what?
Not Leona Lewis. Leah. I'm not confused.
It was
Oh man.
Leah Lewis.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't know her at all.
Yeah, she's not well known. Yeah, and the last thing I was gonna say, I think, was I just, it's more of a personal thing, but I didn't realize Thomas Newman had done the music, and then
yeah.
after that, because I never looked into their family, I didn't realize, because I was like, I thought it was Randy Newman. It's like, no, he
Thomas-
did the other films, and then
Is he the brother or the cousin?
cousin.
Yes.
Yeah,
The Newman family is mental. They're like
their
a
whole
family
family.
of like iconic musicians and composers.
I did not know they're related. Oh my gosh! And I
Yeah,
didn't
'cause-
I usually
Yeah.
recognize Thomas Newman. Like his is like style is very like recognizable. So like I
Yeah,
didn't
he-
realize he did this movie.
Thomas Newman did Finding Nemo and filmed like Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption.
He's
Yeah,
a
he's
lot.
done a
He's
lot
really,
of-
really iconic. And Randy, obviously, we all know from Toy Story and Bug's Life and loads of other iconic movies like that. And but
Yeah.
they obviously I think their dad or their other brother or other cousin.
Their
He did
dad,
old
their
school.
uncle.
Yeah, there's them around. There's a lot of Newmans.
Yeah, interesting history as well, because they're Russian Jewish as well. So,
Immigrant family.
immigrant family. So it was interesting finding out about that. I was like, oh, I did not know about their background. Cool. And actually, as a last fact, I found it interesting that with this film, compared to the other ones, because of just how many, I guess, different effects, the way water moves, the way everything was moving in the film, they had to buy even more kind of computers, GPUs, and everything just to actually make the film. They couldn't technically make the film with the equipment they had. They had to buy more stuff. But so technically, it's a great, cool, like achievement of a film kind of thing. Yeah. So, should I announce the next pick?
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
So I don't think everyone here has seen it. I know I haven't, and neither has Camilla. But I'm picking a cult classic. The Wiz from 1978.
What? Oh.
What?
The Wiz, like Quincy Jones is The Wiz.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is
So-
Because
Huh?
I was going to pick Wizard of Oz next.
Oh, are you?
Wow.
That's
I was
great.
going to. I don't know if I will now.
Oh, you got a
Nice. See? There you go. You could pick it. It doesn't matter.
you don't down the road.
But yeah,
Oh,
and
why have we done that?
while I from what I've heard is, I know it's not necessarily an amazing, great film story wise or something, but apparently it's quite the experience. And I thought it would just be interesting to kind of talk about it and just the experience that this is going to be. I'm sure it's going to be lots of fun. So, and
It's gonna be a
yeah,
whiz bang.
Wait, okay. I need to double check because I think I confused myself for a second. So you said The Wiz with Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay, not The Wizard of Oz. Okay, because I feel like the message just got blurred for a second. I was like, did you say Wizard of Oz or did you say this film? I was like, I got super confused. Okay,
No,
this,
that's wrong. That's
okay,
Bob.
okay. So The Wiz. Okay, interesting pick. I don't think I've ever heard of this being made before. So it's like, this is interesting to see it, right? And so like, damn, okay, interesting.
The music is probably. I'm looking forward to seeing what the music is like. Probably good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you probably.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you'll probably recognize some of the music or certain things. Like, I think it's just pop culture later on.
Mm.
Because even again, like even with me, I didn't realize the film existed until a few, like probably 3 months ago.
Oh wow, really?
But I know a lot of the music. I know some of the music from it,
Okay.
Mm.
but didn't know about the actual film.
Oh,
It's just
cool.
like, this is interesting.
Oh,
But yeah.
This is a great pick.
Yeah. Looking
Cool.
forward to it.
Wonderful. Where is it playing? Is it easy to get?
Netflix, I think.
I see that it says Apple TV and Amazon Prime, so it should be fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's one of the you have to rent it. So yeah,
Oh, as long as it's easy to get, that's great.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The only place it's streaming is if you have. I don't think anyone here has the cinema package, unlike Now TV.
Oh,
No.
only on Now TV.
Yeah, but like they have to have that add-on package.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't think anyone has it for streaming. But yeah, like Simon said, you can rent it from pretty much anywhere. Unless you find someone, Corey, on your side that you're like, oh, this is great. You can post it in the chat. But yeah, you can rent it from wherever you go.
Yeah, it looks like it's the same situation for me renting. Yep. So. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
It got nominated for the Oscars. Weird.
Probably because of like music and some other stuff.
Yeah, I
To be
think
honest,
the soundtrack did because it's Quincy Jones, and like he's such a legend. I think it came after Color Purple, so it was obviously he's riding on the high of that.
Okay,
So
looking because I'm looking at like all the little details right now. Sidney Lumet is how you pronounce the director's name. The guy who did the 12 Angry Men and
really?
Murder.
Sidney Lumet did it. What?
Sidney Lumet. That's what it says as the director. That's what I mean. Unless IMDb is lying. Unless like Amazon is lying to me.
Oh yeah, Sidney Lumet did it. Oh bloody hell!
Lumet. So no. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. So it's just like, oh, this gets the rabbit hole gets even more deeper, and it's like, oh, weird. That's so, yeah. I was just like, yeah, this is because like looking at like the poster for it, I thought this was the other like Wizard of Oz movie that I remember watching as a kid. Have you ever watched Return to Oz, where it's like it's like it's another like Wizard of Oz like
That's the Sam Raimi one, isn't it?
Actually, let me double check. Is it by Sam Raimi? Let me see. It's like a weird. Oh wait, let me double check. The Return to Oz is who was it that was played by? Walter March. Walter March. He's the director, writer, sound designer. Walter March did Apocalypse Now and the Godfather movies. Okay, that's not who. Yeah, this is what this again. This is like there's quite a few like.
Do you want to know what's going to blow your mind? Sidney Lumet, his first film was 12 Angry Men.
Mm-hmm.
The first film he ever did was 12 Angry Men. One of the
that's great.
The first
and it's
film
one
he
of the
ever
best
made.
films of all time, and he did that without doing anything else apart from TV, and that was his first feature film. So
okay. So you gotta. Yeah, this is different from what I expected as like movie wise, but like I can't wait to watch this. I'm gonna have I think this is gonna be quite enjoyable. All that means is later when I choose a super depressing film or like unnerving film, it's just gonna be the perfect contrast. You guys chose a bunch of like sad films during the first round. Now I chose a really stupid, quirky film. So now I'm gonna choose a really sad or very like depressing film. It's gonna be perfect.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Simon.
That evil laugh.
It's perfect for me. So yeah,
Classic
in any case,
It comes together.
yep.
Cool. Good
Alright, yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Guys, I'm
I'm going like yeah. I'm going to
See
the
you next
outside.
week
Take
for the
see you
Wiz.
guys next
Productive
week. Yeah.
Monday. Bye.
Bye.